What is going on, people? Welcome to Throw Down Your Questions, episode 351. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Carlos Romero.
Yo, yo, yo.
Brett Murdoch.
What's up, people?
And Brian Manjoma.
Yo, yo, yo.
What is going on, people? All right, coming at you Monday night. Thankfully, you guys were very patient with us, but sometimes we got to live life. Manny and I went to go see Megadeth out in Jones Beach. I'll keep it on.
Jones Beach.
That's on the other coast,
we just went to see some Megadeth. It's been a while since we've been to a concert.
Yeah.
We have been, 2019. Yeah, a full year.
Yeah. 2019. That's because we saw Tool. And the last concert I went to was February 2020, literally 2 weeks before the lockdown. If we all would have known, and at that point we were still joking around, like, man, this fucking Rona ain't coming to America, like that's staying over there in China. How stupid were we,
Yep.
Anyway, how you guys doing? I need to vamp a little bit, so talk about whatever the hell you want for a minute or two.
We saw Megadeth, we saw Hatebreed and
Lamb
Trivium.
of God, yeah, Trivium.
And Lamb of God. And now it's funny because some of these bands that we haven't seen in years, like Lamb of God, I think the last time I think we saw them was before the lead singer went to jail.
No, didn't we see them at the Slayer show 2 years ago?
Yes, we did, but he didn't have that long. This time around, if you're familiar with the band Lamb of God, the lead singer usually have short hair.
Yeah.
This guy, he had this like dreads down to his legs. He must have grown that all through the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was a good show. I always think like guys with hair that long when they whip them around and stuff, they're cleaning up the stage.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the lead singer of Shadows Fall. He used to have long hair. That was my favorite band of that era, and they broke up, which is very upsetting.
Yeah. It's funny. Yesterday Tony was telling me that the lead singer of the band Trivium has actually become a really successful Twitch tuber or Twitch
Twitch streamer. Yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So he was his name is Matt Heafy, right? He was talking about how he makes more money streaming on Twitch, and he just does like guitar. He does sometimes guitar lessons. Sometimes he plays video games, a bunch of different stuff. He says he makes more money streaming than he does from concerts. Ain't that something?
Yeah. I mean, that's just the way the music industry is. I mean, to be honest, like, it wasn't Patti LaBelle, or maybe it was Patti LaBelle, like, who explained how the money gets to performers and stuff like that, and it's not very good. You get like half a penny for each song.
No, you don't even get half a penny. You get like a percent of a penny. It's bad,
so it's like So it needs a lot. You need a lot of, unless you have some sort of specific deal with them.
Yeah, you need to have a deal beforehand, because you're not getting money a lot from each individual song. You get money from them up front, But yeah, if you guys, for any of you streamers who use Streamlabs, the guy you see holding a guitar, that's the lead singer of Trivium. He's sponsored with them and everything, because that's how he makes. That's his breadwinner now. This concert is just a side hustle. Ain't that something? But of course, he wouldn't have become popular on Twitch if it wasn't because of him being in a metal band.
Yeah.
So it all kind of weirdly feeds each other. Anyway, I'm ready, man. We got questions tonight. A lot of them are centered around the PlayStation showcase and the controversy with God of War that erupted over the weekend. Which I didn't see a lot of, because on Saturday I purposely stayed the fuck away from Twitter, because I'm like, 9/11, I probably shouldn't be tweeting out my regular dumb shit on this date. In 20 years, let me stop, But apparently other people didn't stop. There was controversy going on. People didn't like the fact that Kratos is rowing boats again.
Okay. By the way, shout out to Black Viet for subscribing with Prime.
Yeah, shout out to you, man.
That.
Yeah, good stuff,
Hey,
man.
can somebody describe the whole boat thing to me? Because I failed to get this.
All right.
We're gonna read the question.
Yeah,
then.
we'll read the question and I'll go in depth. All right. Mob Hits starts us off here. Very controversial. Actually, it's not controversial. The question is controversial, but I made it more controversial. The short version. But it's at the heart of it. Why doesn't God of War Ragnarok look next gen? So this is what he says. What are your thoughts on God of War Ragnarok looking more like PS4 DLC and having subpar graphics? At the tail end of last gen, people gave Microsoft shit for continuing to serve its last gen base rather than continue on to its next gen platform. Yet not only is Sony releasing something like this on its current gen, but will likely put a $70 price tag on it. Is the loyalty that strong in Sony's favor, hence the opening movie, you know, that stupid sizzle reel bullshit movie they showed there, that this is acceptable within their own base? Are they starting to resemble another company, Nintendo, that they could do no wrong? All right, so to clear up the controversy here, so basically people were upset that God of War Ragnarok doesn't look next gen enough, and that one of the things I was criticized a lot by some people, apparently is one YouTuber, I really blew it up. Kratos, you know, when he puts the boat into the water like he does in the last game, it's the same exact animation. There's no difference. People are like, what the fuck? Why isn't it a different animation? It's the same fucking game. You know, so that's what's going on there. But here's what I tried to I told people this on Sunday when I got off my Twitter fast. I'm like, guys, this game is not next gen. This is still a PS4 game. They're not going to be able to do all this crazy wild shit. You know, that's the only thing you're going to get on PS5 is nicer looking graphics. You cannot add things that the PS4 cannot do. You know, but at the same time, how many different ways are there to put a boat in the water?
I mean, to be honest, it's a little silly to harp on reused animation when every game reuses a bunch of animation.
Yeah.
You know, like how many times? Like, you know, what about Metal Gear Solid? Was it Ground Zeroes and Metal Gear Solid, the Phantom Pain? That shit uses a bunch of reused animations. You ever looked at the Kojima animation when he's held up against the you know, inside of the helicopter? For some reason, if you look at the cinematic, he's doing the same animation he does later on in the Phantom Pain. It's the same thing where he's like he was attached to the wall. So
yeah,
it's
every game does that. Like if you played the Mass Effect trilogy, the third game uses animations from the first game, you know, over and over and over again. And then it's like, if you're gonna do that, are we gonna decry literally every sports game in the world? Are we gonna decry every Call of Duty? Like, I remember somebody who joked about this. My friend Mike Andronico. He's like, "Oh man, if these guys don't like reused assets, they're not gonna like Miss Pac-Man." You know, because we've been doing this forever. You know?
Yeah, you know, yeah. To be honest, like as far as a boat ride goes, rowing a boat goes, you're gonna have look at even the previous God of War games. Those games reused that same square triangle animation all the damn time. It's the same animation. The only difference is maybe the effects around it might be a little bit different, but other than that, it worked exactly the same as the last.
Yeah.
Why reinvent the wheel? Now, as far as the graphics, it looks like a better version of whatever was on PS4. To be honest, it's I don't know what else you could do to it to sort of make it. The game already looks amazing.
Yeah.
On the previous console. So, what are they going to switch around the whole style of the game just because from the previous one? I mean, it just looks more like a continuation of the same world. Yeah. And in fact, a lot of the maps and stuff look like iced over versions of the previous game's maps,
which they kind of would be, you know. Because like remember, like that main place that you kind of shift around, that's what leads you to all these worlds. So you're gonna see a lot of reused stuff. But again, it's like, guys, did we forget that this is a PS4 game? Like, you're not gonna get much new. And I'm glad you said that. It's like the game already was like pinnacle graphics. Like, it's gonna be hard to because obviously there are improvements, but they're so minuscule now. Because again, we're kind of reaching that point where graphics it's harder for them to look better. I don't want to say they can't look better because they will, obviously, but you know, it's like Carlos, we and I talked about it too. It's incremental now. It's not like leaps like before, you know.
Well, and we're gonna get even smaller leaps if we're just doing PS4 to PS4.
Mm-hmm,
like you mentioned, it's like if this was a PS5 only title, then we would see at least a more significant difference than we're seeing now. And obviously, like Manny mentioned, it does look like the God of War game in 2018, but you know, a little bit cleaner, a little bit better, a little bit of lighting I saw on this new game. So I'm guessing that's running on a PS5, whatever we saw. So yeah, as far as by the way, shout out to Pig Dan for the bits. Appreciate that.
My man.
Pig Dan.
So I think the game. I mean, the 2018 game wasn't subpar.
No, it's not.
So yeah, this game looks a little bit better than that. So yeah, I don't think this is by any means subpar looking. Obviously, is this going to look like a top tier next gen game whenever it's all said and done? I don't really think so, and that's my biggest issue with the whole thing about doing cross gen games. Is you're limited to your weakest console, and the PS4 is going to be holding it back in some senses. I think that this game was they started developing this game right after 2018 God of War. So obviously you are going to get reused assets, especially when it comes to, doing a game back to back. You're not just going to start everything from scratch. It's not smart when on anything you do. I'm a programmer. Whenever, go from one program to another and there's stuff, there's utilities in one program, then I'll just port it over and use it in another one.
Why you copying code, bruh? Why you reusing code, man?
If it's my code that I'm copying, I'm good.
Yeah, but you see, my point is asking that's just as stupid as asking why are they reusing assets? Like, it's there.
Hold on a second. I remember. Do you know how much shit Fallout 76 got for reusing assets from Fallout 4? And I'm pretty sure I want to go back and hear what everybody on the panel said at that point, because I'm pretty sure I was the only one defending it.
I don't remember making that criticism.
No, I never meant that criticism. My biggest criticism with it was that it was a multiplayer game and not a single player game.
Yeah, that's my biggest issue with it.
No, that's fine. They fixed that. I just thought I remember a lot of people, and maybe it wasn't from here, but there were a lot of people all over the internet that were kind of super pissy about that. They don't like to see.
Then,
Well, here's the thing: if you make a whole game and charge me $70 for it, I kind of want that value. And so if you're reusing assets, you're kind of cheaping out a little bit. Tweak them, change them a little bit, add a couple of little effects on them, something like that. But I think the real core of the issue here, as Carlos said, this shouldn't be a cross-generation game. Now, before I go into this, I want to say, on a personal level, love the game, love the series. I don't think it can actually get much better looking. Yeah. But putting that aside and putting on, my understanding angry fanboy glasses, it would be something along the lines of, so Sony doesn't even want to support their own system. They have so little faith in the PS5 that they're not even going to put one of their mainline games onto it, because this is the kind of thing that used to be a flagship title, right? They used to make system sellers. They used to put people in this position intentionally to get them to buy the system. And now, how long is it? We're over a year in.
No, we're not over a year yet. No, we're not. We're not even a year yet. We're not a year yet.
In a couple of months, we will.
Okay, I thought we had just passed it.
Give it 2 months in a couple of days.
Yeah, remember November. Okay. November is what you're looking for.
Oh yeah. That's right. Okay, so it's been out. I think the big problem here is that everything has been so kind of fucked up by the pandemic that everybody's kind of behind. And what that means is Sony hasn't been able to get the supply out there, which means they can't really commit to next gen. And that's kind of a problem for the early adopters who did commit before they did. So it's kind of a shitty feeling when you're like, man, I went out and bought this console, being like, yeah, PlayStation 5 games. And Sony's like, yeah, I mean, probably, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Here's a PS4 game. It makes you sit there and be like, well, why did I run out and buy this? Especially with as much effort as it took most people to get these things. It just doesn't seem like Sony's giving a lot of incentive or has a lot of faith. And I know they have long-term faith, but just right now it's like that. They're like, I don't know. They seem to not think a game can succeed on their console if it's a PS5 only game.
No, because again, they're looking at just the numbers. They're like, okay, there's more people on PS4. We got to put it on PS4, which I've said many times. I think that's a bad way of going about it. It's like, dude, put the fucking game on PS5, get the most out of it. People will eventually get the game when they get the console. Yeah,
and I think that's something we all agree on, is that the issue here is they should make it a cross-gen game. That being said, reuse assets just feel cheap. It's not necessarily a crime to reuse them. Redoing them too much in really obvious ways, though, does kind of break the immersion a little bit. And I don't think it would have taken a lot to go back and comb over some of the stuff. Like a lot of games use previous assets, but they throw a new skin on them, or they tweak the wireframe or something different. So you can see like, oh yeah, it looks like the last game, just changed around a little bit better. So even if it were something as monotonous as doing the boat, how many times in the fucking game are you going to get in that boat? And how many times did you get in that boat in the last game? And after a while, you just kind of learn exactly like, drops down, pitches to the left, pitches to the right, rolls a little bit, and then stops. And seeing that again in the new game, because you've seen it so many times, you're like, fuck, now I'm going to just see the same goddamn boat animation the whole time. I don't know why they didn't have 4 different boat animations in the game to begin with. So the things you're doing repeatedly aren't getting obvious and immersion breaking. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, the animations were good for what they were. I mean, to be honest, the nitpick over a silly animation like that is not
silly,
really. It's
yeah.
not. I mean, wait. Kratos walks exactly the same as he did in the previous game. What are we going to change there? Because that's probably the same animation too. You know what I mean? Like in-game animations. I mean, I'm guessing you reuse a lot of the things that we're going to be doing similar actions. So why reinvent the wheel? That's what
because you're already reusing it. You're using the same animation throughout the hundreds of times you're going to do it in the fucking game. That alone feels stale. And then to say, hey, we're just going to do that same thing for the next game. It's obvious. It sticks out to people, and it gives the impression of sheep. No, it's not. I'm telling you why people are upset.
I have a question though. So these same people have the same problem when the guns in every Call of Duty like aim down at sights exactly the same? Do they have the same problem there too?
I think they update those. They put at least different skins on the wireframe.
It's all the same. It's all the same shit.
It's the exact same.
And then also,
assets.
and by the way, I'm not saying this to you. I'm just saying in general. Like, okay, so are the people upset about the boat animation? Are they also upset that seeing Kratos' punching animation 1,000 times in the same game? Like, I'm just saying.
Yes, it can. And like you would notice if you put that next to a game where Kratos had 4 different punching moves in each kind of like for the top. This movie is 4 different animations that he cycles, and this he has 4 different animations that he cycles. And if they did that, you would fucking notice. You'd be like, oh wow, Kratos feels so dynamic.
Yeah, but I have a question. Hold on, okay. But you're gonna see those same 4 animations a million times each, so they're gonna get tired regardless. So I'm trying to see where we draw the line here. Like, do we need 20 different animations, 30 different animations?
Hold on. Okay, you're pinning down to the point of ridiculousness. It's as simple as this.
No, because it is already as ridiculous. The premise is ridiculous. Anyway,
okay,
go on.
Look, all I'm saying is when something becomes obvious and breaks the immersion, it's going to upset people. And if they did reuse an asset that was used so much that people are obviously noticing it, then that's on them. Right? Like, you probably should have reused the most used animation.
Okay, so
it's enough that people... Hold on. We wouldn't be in this position if people didn't notice. All right?
Okay,
so people are noticing. It is a thing people have.
No one complained about the way Sonic fucking jumps or the way Mario jumps. It's the same animations too. Again, I want to know how silly we're gonna get now. Every game does this. No.
Okay, let's take out the animations of the main character, right? Like, let's take that out.
But that's what's that question.
No, it's about getting in the boat, dude. It's about the getting in the boat is a transition sequence. It's not a punch or something like that. A punch is done in you throw a punch this way, sure, and but you mix up your combos and everything like that, right? Like, so yeah, it kind of feels fresh and new. And whenever you feel like you're doing the same thing, I don't know about you, but if I feel I'm doing nothing in a fight other than pressing like XXY, 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 I'm gonna switch it up because I'm getting bored of that. But you have this transitional sequence where I don't understand how you guys could argue this fact. It was disruptive and immersion breaking to a certain group of people who obviously noticed it.
Yeah, to nitpickers. Because again, the way I'm saying, I'm like, okay, if you're going to complain about that, you may as well complain about literally every animation that gets reused in the game.
No,
and if we're going to go back, and by the way, I don't know who said this in the chat. I thank you for saying that. Oh, what about the first 6 Mega Man games where they're all the same fucking game? Nobody was complaining then. So
because it was all we had.
I know it's just as silly to me, man. It's just as silly to me.
It's like complaining.
No. Hold on.
It's like complaining about the Rock and Sagat stage on the floor. It's a minuscule detail that people are just this one person saw and then decided to make a video of. The only reason why anybody even gives a shit about it right now is because somebody decided to make a fucking video of it.
That has 3 million views.
I think it's shitty.
Blowing up.
I noticed.
Because the fanboys.
It's blowing up. It's the fanboy bullshit.
Yeah,
You got a whole bunch of Xbox fanboys trying to say, oh, look, they're remaking the same game. This is DLC. And then you got the PlayStation fanboys who are insecure as fuck trying to going all hell to defend this shit, and it's just leading into bullshit.
Yeah, I agree.
No, it's a legitimate criticism, although nitpicking. It is nitpicking, but it is also a legitimate criticism, right? Like, and it can be noticeable to somebody. What?
Here's what I don't understand. You mentioned earlier that you were defending to all hell Fallout 76 because it reused assets, and now you're using that counter argument on the God of War going on a boat thing.
So, no. See, I'm not saying that I need this. I'm not saying this is important to me. I'm saying this is obvious to a lot of people, and they should have been more conscious of the kind of assets they were reusing. Because, yeah, that is probably the single most notable thing in the game. So, like, yeah, probably not a wise choice. I may have, like...
The most notable thing was Fat Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that is 100% like, people are just bitching because it's not what they thought it was going to be, whatever. That I can see, because I find that in games too. Like, I get so fucking frustrated, like, every time I'm like, pop into like a spacecraft and like in a thing, and I have to go through this little transition sequence that looks the exact same every time. By the 900th time, I'm just like, just fucking get on with it. Like, I just want you to be over as fast as possible. I don't want to see you get into the fucking boat and pick up the oars. I just want you to jump in, boom, go. Because I don't want to watch this goddamn thing it's these things that people add to try and add immersion, but when overused, they kind of cut back on it. So I'm not criticizing the fact that they reused assets. I'm criticizing the type of assets they decided to reuse, and just kind of saying it probably wasn't a great idea. But honestly, I don't care. It's a boat sequence. It doesn't really matter that much, but it's a legitimate criticism that has been overblown. So everybody's right and everybody's wrong on this, because there are people that are saying like, well, here's the reason that's okay. Like, no, honestly, it's not okay. It is a little cheap, but it's also not big a deal. So you have to address both camps on this one, I think.
And it also depends on how much it's used in the game, or how many extra animations. Maybe it has more than one. We don't know. It just depends on what the final product is going to show. Go ahead. What I think, and shout out to GZDR.
Yeah.
He's like, it's Puddlegate all over again, I'm glad
you said that. Yeah, Carlos, I'm glad you said, because literally every big AAA from any company, minus Nintendo, because they seem to be immune. Every game has controversy surrounding it because of the fanboys on either side. Every single game. Without fail,
Oh yeah, there are people just waiting in the wings, man.
Oh yeah, of course. Anyway, we got more questions. Let's move on. I like that topic. That was good stuff. All right, moving on here. We're still going to be kind of talking about this though. All right. Next up here, also from Mob Hits. The hype level was through the roof for the PlayStation Showcase. Yet Sony, being Sony, didn't announce anything other than a few titles for next year. Will Sony continue paying for third-party exclusives for PS5 sophomore year? Is this a smart strategy for the company as a whole? It's working for them.
It's working for them, and it's no different than what Microsoft did years ago.
Exactly.
Either, so.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, most of these companies, they obviously don't have enough studios to do these things, or can't have these things all done in time. So yeah, you lock it down. It means Microsoft locks down Tomb Raider. It means that Sony locks down Tomb Raider back in the day on the PlayStation 1
That's
era.
right. Yeah, I think with this question specifically, it was talking about games like Knights of the Old Republic. That's a PS5 exclusive for a little bit. And currently time exclusive, and Deathloop, another time exclusive. So
KOTOR is a timed exclusive. That was an Xbox game, man.
Yep. Well,
that's
not
weird.
Anymore. Yeah, it is weird, isn't it? Dude, you know what it's like, Brett? It's like seeing back in the day Sonic on a fucking Nintendo console. It's like, wait, what? How is this possible?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh no, he'll only be like, it's only a timed exclusive.
Yeah, timed exclusive. Yeah.
And then you can have Knuckles in Sonic, but until then, Knuckles is going to be in Street Fighter.
No.
What? Huh?
Like, wait, how does that happen? So yeah, Microsoft did this. Sony did this. This is not even a big deal,
Well, Nintendo does it.
Nintendo does it.
Nintendo does it. Microsoft just bought a bunch of studios. What is that? That's pretty much the same thing. It's not like these guys. It's not like these guys weren't already developing things.
They're paying studios for games, not acquiring the studios themselves. Which
Yeah.
I think is a critical difference when you're talking about, is this a good sustainable idea going forward? Like, yeah, they can keep paying for these. It would be better if they could manage to acquire some of the studios. I think Microsoft had the right idea in that. I'm against kind of um, amalgamating everything into like one big company that, you know, now Microsoft just makes all of these fucking titles. I'm not so thrilled about that, because I like people to have competition. I think it breeds quality. But I do think Microsoft made the right choice in buying these studios. So,
Yeah, I agree.
but
Yeah.
we're not going to see for years. For
Well,
2
they
or 3
need
years.
the thing about it is that they sort of needed it. Like I feel like in their
Microsoft
case,
definitely needed it.
they definitely needed to have those sorts of unique sort of voices within their company, rather than just the sort of same old stuff over
Yeah,
and over
Halo,
again.
Gear, you know, and
Yeah, I do believe
Forza.
that they needed a lot more variety, especially if they're going to be putting out doing a service like xCloud, right? It's sort of like the Netflix. It's like, well, Netflix doesn't only just make movies; they also make series, they make animation and stuff like that. And they've, through different sources, they've been able to acquire or pay for certain things. So I feel like that's what Microsoft is doing. They're sort of expanding the amount of the games that they sort of create.
Yeah. No, again, that's why I think Game Pass is like the best thing Microsoft
Yeah,
is
Game
doing.
Pass. There we go.
You know, Game Pass is
xCloud.
fucking. Yeah, no, Game Pass is awesome. Damien's in the chat right now. He didn't hear that part. When I said Game Pass is awesome. You know.
Oh, he won't
No, I
hear.
mean-
He'll start
he's been
complaining.
complaining. He was complaining. He was yelling the whole time during the last segment.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe he needs to learn. Maybe he needs to learn some comprehension skills before he starts to yell at people.
All right, man. Let's move on. That was
Yeah,
a simple one. Oh, go ahead, Carlos. Go ahead.
Yeah. Third party exclusives aren't going anywhere. I think it's just it's gonna be something that's gonna be more minuscule than it used to be in the past. As Microsoft didn't do PlayStation any favors by acquiring Bethesda and a whole bunch of other studios. So it's gonna force Sony's hands in a lot of more ways than we would think.
Yeah. Competition is good, man. All right, moving on. This one is a bonus question sponsored by Mr. Romulan. Very good fellow.
Oh,
Who's that Romulan?
it's Romulan.
This is another one from Mob Hits. Uh-oh. This one might be controversial.
Oh, who's controversial?
Yeah. He goes, obviously, let me finish this question. Obviously, the diversity is growing within Sony's first-party studios in terms of different IPs. This is specifically talking about Wolverine. Is this willingness to take risks what separates the Insomniacs from the coalitions? Let's just get this straight. Making a Wolverine game is not a fucking risk.
No, that is not a risk at all. It's a Wolverine fucking game.
It's gonna sell. It's a Wolverine game. So
No,
there's no
that's-
risk there. You know?
Oh yes, very risky. Like taking a well-known character in a very popular franchise and making a game about it. It's so risky, It's not like Project Eve or something that no one knows anything about, or Death Stranding, which no one knows anything about and is very fresh. No, this is totally taking a risk. You see.
Yeah. So I don't understand that part of the question. Like the risk, like there is no risk. Like it's Insomniac, it's Wolverine. That's a clear winner. That's automatically gonna sell 5 million in day one.
Yeah, the suits were behind that idea 100%. There was no, maybe we should. They were like, yes, what do we have that's successful? Wolverine. Well, what else do we have that's successful? The Spider-Man game. Well, let's the Spider-Man game people make a Wolverine game. See, I'm brilliant. Let's break for lunch.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee that whole meeting went like this, like, wait, we haven't done a Wolverine game? Why haven't we done this? You know?
Yeah.
I guess we all just thought everybody else was dealing with the Wolverine game.
Yeah. By the way, JNL, shout out to you, brother. Is that question for us specifically? Hold on, let me real quick, because we already answered that question. It's like Wolverine's a safe bet. Why do you guys exclude PC? Is that to us or is the guys in the chat? Because the chat's been crazy.
So combined.
Combined? Wait. Okay, it's not to us then. Okay, so the chat. Okay, just making sure. This is the round of questions. We answer questions around here.
Yeah,
Okay, he's talking to the guys in chat. All right.
Okay, all good.
Remember, for tonight, if we don't talk about PC, it's because the question doesn't bring it up. All right, I think we answered that one pretty. Wolverine's a safe bet, bro. Wolverine, the safest bet.
Yeah, it's
Manny, who are the two most popular Marvel characters?
Spider-Man and Wolverine, and Iron Man.
Yeah,
as
there
of,
you go.
as of the recent 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, which is really
that's all,
weird.
and that's all because of the movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Throwdown Crickets. You already know. You already know, Piggy Dan. You already know. All right, man. Let's move on. Mr. Damien with some questions here. All right. First up, I was disappointed by the PlayStation Showcase and gave it a 6 out of 10, mainly because all the games from Forspoken to God of War seem to be using the Sony formula. So he disagrees with the previous thing, which we disagree with too, Damien. No risk.
By the way, a 6 out of 10 from Damien is actually pretty good.
That's pretty good. So we go. So the question is, did Sony's lack of variety excite any non-PlayStation fans to get a PS5?
No, probably not.
No,
I guess it just depends on which non-PlayStation fans. If you're talking about the Xbox crowd, probably not. If you're talking about some random dude that loves Wolverine, probably.
He's excited.
Yeah.
It was super formulaic. Like most of their games, we talk about this too. So like, yeah, there's such a thing known as when we say a Sony game, everybody knows what you're talking about. Heavy set pieces, high fidelity, usually very linear and narrow. But with a great story behind, like, it is a formula, but you can't hate on somebody who uses a formula. That shit went on with like Disney for fucking years, and Fox used to be known as the place where you could go and find the foul mouth cartoon. Like, if somebody who hits a winning formula, it's kind of normal for them to stick with it, and kind of a rational business decision to keep doing the thing that's making you lots of money. So you got to cut a little bit of scraps.
Yeah, no, I do want
the Jungle Book reused assets.
Yeah, oh man. Real quick, and then maybe go next, because we had this discussion before. Because I said, because I asked on this, on the show, I'm like, what is so different from what is different from the Sony quote unquote formula than literally the formula that every other third party uses? And I think, Brett, you said it's not that Sony is doing anything right different. It's just that all their major games use that formula. Because think about it, Tomb Raider, and all these other games from third parties, they use the exact same formula. Actually, I should say Ubisoft in general, like, they use the same formula that Sony does, but it's just Sony's big games are because they do make other games that are not that formula, obviously, but their most high profile ones use that formula. But again, it's a formula that every big game in the industry uses. It's just concentrated into one studio.
It's the same problem that you have with CalArts animators and artists. Like, it becomes derivative. Like, yes, it was super successful 10, 15 years ago, and everybody has had the chance to jump on board that train lately because PlayStation has been dominating, and that was the most prevalent type of game that they made. So it became kind of the standard. And you could view that as a good or a bad thing. Sometimes probably fucking both, because I think it has homogenized the type of games that we play. And I don't think that Sony is ever going to be risky and be the first one to drift away from that. It's going to have to be Microsoft doing something right.
I feel like when, just like in the movie industry, when the formula runs out, that means when they'll start to try to go for a new one.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is exactly what's going on in Microsoft's world. They what was their formula? Balls to the wall, your ultimate gamer shooter game. What was
Extreme!
That? Yeah. Extreme. Right. What was the Xbox? It's the Extreme box. It's the Xbox. It's where the gamers play, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But now what do you see what Microsoft is doing? They're sort of trying to edge away from that sort of idea and being what their little slogan says, where everyone can play, no one left behind.
No gamer left behind. Yeah,
we're your buddies, right? That's what they're sort of doing, and I think they're also they're in general trying to redefine what the Xbox brand is. For Sony right now, these sorts of games work for them. You look at the sales of The Last of Us. You look at the sales of the God of Wars. Those are the things that are going to make them forward. But the minute those things start to lose their sort of luster, that's when they're going to start having to experiment and have to go back to the age-old Sony thing, where it's essentially trying different things.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about it is that it's sad. My disappointment with Sony is the fact that they got rid of those factories, not those factories, but those studios that essentially tried to do different things.
Yeah, that's very disappointing.
Mainly Japan studio.
Yeah,
mainly Japan studio. And it's sad that there can't those games obviously weren't they weren't those big sort of experiences, but they were fun, interesting ideas. And I feel like a lot of Sony nowadays, at least PlayStation nowadays, is losing that sort of let the artist do what they want, as like their record company used to do, which is that what the Sony PlayStation, studios sort of came from, where they're like, all right, give the artist money to do what they want, and they'll just make what they want, and then there you go. But yeah, so I'm gonna say this: if the formula runs out, well, the formula runs out, and that means that they need to do essentially a rebranding of whatever what they define as the AAA sort of title that Sony makes. What that is, I don't know.
Don't you think it's going to have outside competition to kind of?
Well, yeah.
Somebody needs to set a new standard. I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Competition breeds advancement, doesn't it?
Yep.
So if we're seeing some really really interesting things coming out of the Xbox Studios, and I'm not just talking about Bethesda making their RPG, their massive 1,000,000 hour RPGs, because those shits ain't reinventing the wheel, but some of the other things that they come out with, some of the stuff that Ninja Theory comes out with, some of the things that the other companies come out. Maybe one of those things ends up being such a game changer that it essentially starts to cause ripples through the industry. But if you notice, like, a lot of that has happened, but in smaller ways, and it usually tends to come out from the indie space, though. Where it's like you have these sorts of these ideas that end up working out in the indie space, and then all of a sudden the big guys start adapting them.
Yeah.
Like Fortnite's the biggest one of that, right? They literally just ripped off the what was it, that multiplayer mode from PUBG, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's the latest thing they ripped off? Among Us. They ripped off Among Us now.
So
the intruder mode, or whatever the fuck it's called, infiltrator.
Yeah, so when you got the little guys essentially leading the way, trying things that other people aren't trying, and then all of a sudden the big guys seeing, oh hey, this works, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yo, by the way, I mean, I don't know how many. It's all anecdotal. I don't know how many fucking people are gonna be enticed, but I did see a lot of people, complaining on Twitter about the Wolverine news. It's like, this shit's coming out exclusive. It's like, yo, Phil Spencer, you better get fucking Batman or something.
Yeah. No, I saw people complaining about that. We got a question about that too tonight, which still be fun to delve into that. All right, good stuff. Moving on, next question. Also,
I'm gonna say one more thing on this.
And one more thing.
The one more thing on the Wolverine thing. Let's just say Marvel's outings with other studios with their IPs haven't been so great.
Yeah.
There was a certain Avengers game that got launched last year that nobody gives a shit about right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I just forgotten about that, Manny.
I'm sorry, but like it seems like the winning formula seems to be somehow the union of Insomniac and Marvel characters. So obviously they're going to go with those guys who already made 2 successful Spider-Man games. One that wasn't even like a full-on Spider-Man game.
Yeah, Miles Morales. Yeah.
It's
interesting. All right, moving on here. Actually, hold on. I think I saw a quick comment I want to address here. J&L. Oh, he called me out.
Who are you?
He goes, I mean, he added me at Throwdown, but he meant me. I keep telling Tony over 132 games released this year. He keeps saying there are no games this year. He only plays AAA titles. Yeah, that's my forte, baby. No shame about it. I don't like these people that try to shame me like, oh, you only play AAA. Bro, you realize how many fucking indie games I preview more indie games than I like actually play like AAA games. They're cool, but they're not my bag. Like, I played Death's Door, fucking Hades. I know what Hades came out last year. The Ascent, this Maquette game that came out before. Biomutant, that's not really indie, but it's like kind of there. They don't do anything for me, man.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, you got to also understand it's like different strokes for different folks, right? Like we're not gonna make. Tony likes action movies. Tony likes sci-fi movies. I'm not gonna get him to go watch the fucking Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, it ain't happening.
It ain't gonna work.
He's seen it though.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
I've never seen the Shawshank Redemption.
I thought
never seen the Shawshank Redemption or the Joy Love Club, or or what is it, Moonlight?
or the Sisterhood of a Traveling Pants.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
why?
the
Yeah, it's like,
Sisterhood
come on,
of the
dude, get out of
Traveling
here with that.
Pants. You know,
And that's my thing. And not to get too personal. When I see somebody talking about indie games, I'm like, that's fucking great. But then when I talk about the games, I'm like, you don't play the indies. I'm like, hold on, I'm tolerant of the shit you play. Why aren't you tolerant of my shit? You know, that's what pisses me off. You know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you know, it's this whole thing. It's like, oh, well, you don't listen to this, or you know, you like metal, but you don't listen to alternative, so you know,
Yeah.
you must not be cultured. You know, it's all petty stuff, man. You
people
know,
can have.
But again, I don't get. I'm like, dude, I'm okay. Like, if somebody goes, hey, here's my top 10 games of the year, and they're all indies. I'm like, that's fantastic. I'm glad you found all those games to love. But if I'm guarantee you, when I list my actually probably 5 games of this year, I doubt I'm gonna like 10 games. But whenever I list mine, how come you don't have this, and that? I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck what you have on your list. Why are you giving me shit about mines? You know,
Yeah.
it's stupid.
Do you need? Here's the thing. Do you need Tony to justify your like in games? Really?
Maybe they do.
You gotta realize.
You know?
All the top 10 lists are all people's fucking opinions.
Yeah.
It just so happens that some people's opinions align.
Yeah, that happens.
I don't know if that's what this is, but like I gotta say, no, for Tony, like, it is what it is. Tony calls him like a season, and he absolutely, if he says he feels away, that's absolutely the way he feels. The only thing that gets me about that is I can see where somebody would get a little like if you compare it to music, like how would you feel if somebody told you they only listen to music that breaks the top 40?
Good for them. That's what they like. Who cares?
Yes, yeah, and that's why Tony. That's why you're weird. I think the rest of us at least have a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Because, ugh.
Wait, so I'm weird because I'm tolerant?
You're weird because you more than other people have the ability to be like, well, you do what you want, I do what I want. Just it doesn't matter. There's not a crossover. But like, I'll be honest. If somebody told me they only listen to top 40, I'm gonna immediately be like, okay, I'm not judging you a lot, but I'm judging you a little.
Oh no, I mean, everyone judges everyone.
No,
It's
no,
like,
Brad, don't get me wrong. Like, if we're talking about that, if you go, dude, I only play Call of Duty and Madden. Yeah, there's gonna be a part of me that's like, all right, bro. Like on the outside, I'll be like, okay, that's cool. But on the inside, I'm like, okay, I don't need to talk to this person. You know what I'm saying, Brad? I'm like, all right, bro, all right.
Adam is like one of the biggest dude bro gamers, but we fuck with him all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but Adam still plays real games too, though. You know.
Yeah, it's specifically the whole I only do what's popular mentality, and that's not what Tony's doing.
No, I'm not. I just like those kind of games. You know.
Yeah, you like big budget, but I think the way that you said it makes people feel like you're saying like I only like popular things, and that inherently makes people.
Oh no, but that's the thing. No, but Brett, I never say I only like AAA. I've never actually stated that. I just list the games. People go, oh, they're just a bunch of AAAs. You know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to make that that kind of assumption that you only like games that are popular. You only like games that are.
I get that. But that's not it.
Those,
you know. Yeah.
For those people, it's really just Tony likes big budgets. He likes flashes. He likes explosions. He likes the Michael Bay movie. Bay version.
Maybe not Michael Bay.
Yeah,
but...
no, I don't like Michael Bay very much actually. But yeah, it's like, dude, like, you know, we're gonna talk about Deathloop later. That game, you could tell they put money into that shit, and I appreciate that. You know. I like when a studio uses all the resources, money in this case, to just make the flashiest looking shit possible. I'm like, I have a fucking $500 console. Give me something that blows my fucking mind, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's all I'm asking. But yeah, it's just interesting to me, you know? Again, people post their shit. I'm like, that's cool. But then I post myself. I was like, it's hilarious.
I'm just on the other side of the fence from Tony on a lot of places. Like, I want new and innovative mechanics.
Yeah. Oh, hold on, Brett. He's talking fighting words in the chat right now.
Oh shit!
I like Clerks a lot, bro. Clerks was awesome. Would you like to making fuck berserker? Come on, bro. You know.
Here's the thing. It's not to say that Tony doesn't like certain movies or certain games that will hit the other genres.
Yeah, it happens.
But it happens.
Ori's awesome.
Everybody has that one thing that they really love to see in games, and for Tony, it's story. And before you all get up, like, well, it has to be super flashy. This motherfucker played all the original Final Fantasies, and still will go back and play them. Yes. Shit, they're pixelated. It is not all about shiny. For Tony, this is one thing that I've noticed. He likes to have his attention grabbed and taken on a story adventure. He wants to be gripped by a narrative and just pulled forward that way. Cool.
See, Brett, you do know me.
Yeah.
See? There you go.
You know?
I've studied you enough that it's finally coming to clarity. Like, yeah, man, Tony likes that shit. Like, I like, like I said, innovative mechanics. So, like, Portal, one of my favorite games. Is it the shiniest of the best? No. Is there a huge story to it? No. Do you do weird shit with portals that you don't really get to do in another game? Yeah. Okay, cool, dope, fun. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But I think everybody has their thing. I haven't pinpointed what Carlos is yet.
No, we'll get him. Chess.
I mean, I'm
That's what he likes.
I'm all over the place. I mean, I fuck with Ori, I fuck with Cuphead, I fuck with Inside, I fuck with all the indie games of the past. Well, not all of them, but usually I think more recently I just don't play games as much as I used to. So I just play what I have time to play.
There you go. By the way, Cuphead, Ori, fucking awesome games. Inside too. So your boy plays some indie games, bruh.
Braid
was awesome too. Fez,
I played Terraria.
Yeah.
Torchlight, I don't know if that's indie.
It probably is. Sounds indie.
Torchlight 2. Orcs Must Die.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's move on to more questions. We had just a little bit.
Awesome
of
Knots.
I don't know about that one. But you know what it is? It's not that I don't like the game. I just realized I don't like that genre. MOBAs. Yeah, I don't like the genre. That's what it is. Yeah. All right. I don't put down nothing, bro, except games that are trash.
Yeah, trash.
Yeah, Piggy Dan was like, I think he said something about like my language to get a little boisterous sometimes. I'm Dominican, I can't help it. I'm from New York too.
Oh, and New York, yeah, you're the double.
No, I mean, yeah,
I got the double whammy, bruh.
You're gonna get something that cuts.
Yeah.
So
I'm learning to dull the blade though, because motherfuckers can't hang. Anyway,
yo, man, they don't like the way you talk.
Yeah,
Fuck
you don't like the way. Yeah. You understand the words that come out of my mouth? All right. Move on here. Anyway, another one by Mr. Damien. All right. I'll read this whole thing here. I'm not sold on Wolverine. I will have to see it in action. I think that's fair.
Yep.
So he goes.
All right. Next question.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Thank you, Damien. So he goes. What made Spider-Man so good was that it made you feel like Spider-Man. In a fight, you can swing around and use a variety of moves to take down enemies. Batman worked because, in the Arkham game specifically, because he has the detective elements and the whole fight from the shadows.
Wait, hold on, let me stop that. Did he just say he liked the PlayStation game? Who the
Spider-Man.
fuck is this guy?
Who is this? Who that?
Who's this guy? Who replaced Damien?
Who's pretending to be Damien here?
Is it John Linneman?
This isn't funny.
Who is it?
Yeah, it's just a little bit. All right. Anyway, he goes, but Wolverine, who is popular amongst our age group, this is true. Isn't with okay. I don't agree with this part. He goes, Wolverine's old, popular with guys our group, but he's not popular with younger kids. I disagree with you, bro. Kids like that shit. The guy has knives in his hands.
He's not entirely wrong. Wolverine is not as popular now as he was back in the day, but I think I see where he's going with this, and I'm just going to kind of say this.
All right. Okay.
Batman,
go ahead, bro. Go ahead, Brett, because I still got to finish the question.
Okay, finish it. My bad. I'm jumping the gun.
You go first, though. And he goes, but I wanted to go first. Oh, but I already said, Brett, I got to commit to it because I got something to say about it. Anyway, but Wolverine, who is popular among our age group but isn't popular with young kids, he may just be a typical fighter. How do you see Insomniac making it work based on their style of games? Personally, I would have preferred Naughty Dog to make the Wolverine game, because he doesn't want to see him fighting like 10 or 20 dudes at the same time. He wants them to be more stealthy and shit like that. So I guess the heart of the question is like, do you think... Okay, actually, here's a couple questions I got for you guys. What would make a Wolverine game different than a Spider-Man and Batman?
Well, I mean, to be honest, he's to be honest, like Wolverine is sort of more of a melee guy, right?
Yes.
I mean, like, Spider-Man is too, but I feel like, I think he's, Wolverine is more of the type to just run into a place and be like, and just kill everybody.
Wolverine, he kills some of himself. Here's the thing. I'm just going to skip ahead. I got to answer this. Please refer to, I am not kidding when I say this, X-Men Origins Wolverine, the game. That is the best Wolverine game ever. And that game tells you what makes Wolverine different than Spider-Man and Batman. Wolverine kills motherfuckers. That's the main difference. He's hacking dudes, heads are flying off, limbs, blood everywhere. Like
There it
that.
is.
Yeah, exactly. Brett, you knew where I was going with this, you know. But here's the heart of it. He says, "Will a Wolverine game fit with Insomniac style?" Insomniac is not really a violent studio like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think
so
that they're perfectly capable of it.
oh, absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all. That's my only concern. I'm like, will they make a Wolverine game that's M-rated, hardcore, like that game from 2012? Like, is it gonna be brutal like that with fucking limbs and blood flying everywhere, guts and shit? You know,
Dude.
like. By the way, Brad, did you ever play X-Men Origins Wolverine? The game was
Yeah,
fucking amazing.
That game was dope.
Yeah.
But like, I gotta say this, like, dude, Wolverine the character has been pitched to mature audiences for like 10 years now. Right? Wolverine is not a kid's character. It hasn't
not.
been
Yeah.
since the fucking 90s. Most of his source material is mature rated. So like, yeah, the game is almost definitely going to be mature rated. And each of these games work because they focus on what makes those heroes different. Spider-Man.
Hold on, Brett. I gotta stop you. I'll let you go. I just got informed that the game will indeed be M-rated. I take back everything I said.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So, Brett, there you go. Violent ass Wolverine game. Perfect.
I mean, I'm amazed that even that Disney and Marvel are actually letting that happen.
Well, no, Wolverine's one of their Wolverine and Deadpool. They're two mature characters that they're letting kind of take.
Oh, okay. So so it's going under like the 20th Century Fox sort of thing, where like, hey, we got the violent things. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So and
It's only Spider-Man that can't rip people's heads off. Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get it.
yeah. 'Cause Spider-Man's a nice guy.
Yeah.
But like his game focused a lot on locomotion, a lot on
Yeah.
swinging and feeling like Spider-Man, right? Batman games focused a lot on detective and spycraft, right? That's what made him feel like Batman. What makes it Wolverine feel like Wolverine? And I'll go ahead and answer that for you. Cutting shit off.
Yes.
Remember that one fucking Metal Gear spin-off where you
Revengeance.
Revengeance.
yeah, with the cutting, like
Yeah.
that's where I see them going with the Wolverine game.
Yeah. Wolverine, again, I'm going to be judging this Wolverine game based on that last Wolverine game because that was the Wolverine. You were basically playing as a savage animal, you know? That's basically what you were, you know?
I bet you it's going to be about managing his healing too, because
Yeah.
you have to address like his super healing. Like, okay, maybe you're not trying to balance like a rage meter with how fast your health repairs itself. So it's not about not taking damage; it's about not taking damage more than he can heal.
Yes.
I don't know. There's plenty of rooms in there for interesting ways to do it. I doubt Insomniac would just be like, I don't know, here's a melee fighter game with a
Yeah, they're not
Wolverine.
going to do that. Yeah,
No,
I
they're
agree.
going to do something.
Yeah.
If
mean-
it's also a
Insomniac.
melee, if it's also a melee sort of game, that's going to be an interesting thing for Insomniac themselves because they haven't really done that sort of game.
Well,
if-
Spider-Man is all melee. He's punching people, you know?
No, but I feel like it's a little bit like that. I'm wondering if it's because that game seems to have that sort of motion flow sort of thing that Batman had a little bit to it.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more a little more complicated.
Yeah. But he's still a melee character. That's all I'm saying, you know?
Yeah.
But he's a violent melee character. That's the difference, you know? Spider-Man isn't killing people. You know, even like when you kick a dude off a building, you actually see him like throw a little web, and he gets stuck on the side of the building and stuff. So
No, that's that little narrative dissonance thing because all of a sudden they just get absorbed, they get instantly attached to the walls and
Yes.
stuff. Because
And you can still hear them too. For some reason, people still don't detect them.
yeah,
Dude, that shit happens in the movies. Does anybody ever watch a Marvel movie and like an airship starts crashing and like, or they toss somebody out of a plane? You're like, did anybody notice like 9 people just died?
Yeah,
There's
right.
no way they survived that.
yeah. No, you're right about that.
By the way,
What's
so
up?
I think as far as the gameplay, that's the least of my worries with Insomniac. I think the part that kind of worries me a little bit is not even a little bit. It kind of worries me. Is the story. I think I just I'm wondering how well Insomniac can craft a story that could potentially be this brutal. And
there's so many things that you can sort of draw from. I mean, like you can do Wolverine in Japan. You can do, with all the hand ninjas and all that sort of stuff. You could even work Daredevil if you wanted to, and that sort of deal. You could also do the Sabretooth story. Maybe, I don't know if they want to, or they could just take X-Men Origins Wolverine, essentially make a remake of that, like they did with Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope, it can be a little bit, the last time we saw Wolverine, I guess in this big of a capacity was Logan. So I wonder how well that transition's going to be, because this is the first actor we see as Wolverine since Hugh Jackman, and I doubt it's going to be whoever the future.
Yeah, well, remember,
Wolverine's
this
gonna
is
be
the
named to be.
Insomniac game, so it's not going to be based on whatever actor it's
Yeah.
going to be,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that'll be important, and also with what Damien said about the popularity in terms of kids, yeah, it's nowhere near what it used to be.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
It's I think Wolverine is more of a adult favorite character than it is a kid favorite character, because I don't think
Kids were into Wolverine back in the day, but
yeah.
I mean, you still had things like Wolverine and the X-Men, and that one, that was quite a bit of time ago. But I think you would be putting him in 1,000 different books if he wasn't a fucking popular character.
Yeah, Wolverine is
Wolverine
Marvel's
is in
second
fucking
favorite character. Yeah,
Wolverine is literally in almost every single fucking comic as a regular character. How the fuck is he on the X-Men and on the Avengers?
Yeah, yeah, because he's a popular guy,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Good time management.
yeah, yeah, exactly. No, Carlos, you're right though.
No,
Like
but-
Spider-Man's remained consistently popular throughout all the time.
Even
Yeah.
when
Interesting.
even when they tried to bury him because he wasn't a Marvel film property,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was still fucking popular.
Yeah, yeah.
And just looking at Insomniac's track record in terms of, or history in terms of the games they make, I don't know, have they made a game that's like this this brutal?
No,
I mean,
no, they haven't made a game like that, dude.
I mean, was it? How was? I mean,
Fuse
I
wasn't brutal,
I have a trouble remembering Resistance. Wasn't that them?
That was
Yeah, that was
Insomniac,
them.
Yeah, was that brutal?
Yeah. No, it wasn't really brutal. It was just like a
So
Resistance was just like like it would try to be kind of like a Halo type of game.
Another Halo killer.
It was trying to be a Halo killer for real. Yeah, it was really good, but it wasn't no Halo.
So yeah, so it's actually gonna be unproven ground for them because it's going to be. They're saying it's going to be, from what Tony said, that it's going to be an M for mature game. So it's
Yeah,
going to
that's
be
what
like,
Pete
how do
Maker
we?
says, yeah.
How is that going to, how is that going to work with Insomniac, who essentially makes PG-13 movies?
Yeah, no, you're right. And in some cases, PG movies.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. But it's Insomniac. I have faith it'll be good. All right, man. Moving on. Good stuff.
I'm also going to have to say this. I mean, I think we said this on the show. Like, how the hell are they developing so many goddamn games? I hope their people are doing okay.
Well, like I said, yeah, I think that they're a very appropriately named studio because I don't think they sleep.
I think, and their team. I don't remember seeing the size of their team, but I don't remember it being like a massive, huge team that they had on these things.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got a couple hundred people by now.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have Jason Schreier hasn't said anything about him, so I'm I'm guessing they're fine.
We'll just wait for that day. So essentially start taking aim at them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time play the game and be, it's a great game, but if I wish people didn't have to work late on fucking gaming.
Yeah, 200 plus employees. Yeah, there you go. I was right. They have to be to produce games of that caliber. They have to be.
I mean, 200 is a lot, but it's not as much as like something like a Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Well, Call of Duty is like
Ubisoft, where you got like 8,000
studios.
people, or whatever. What's up, Brian?
But then, like with those type of games, like they just have like multiple studios. Like with Call of Duty, it's like three or four of them working on the same game at the same time. So yeah. Again, like on the one hand, I kind of understand where people are coming from with Insomniac, with like, oh, how are they making all these games? But then when you actually look at what's happening, it's like, okay, so the Ratchet and Clank people made a Ratchet and Clank game for last generation. Fine. So again, going back to what we said earlier in the show, they probably reuse a lot of stuff for the next one.
Yeah.
Hence, it wasn't as intensive. Okay, fair enough. But also they had the Spider-Man game at the same time. That's fair enough, right? So balancing two games at the same time, which is very, very impressive. And then they come out with the Miles Morales, which for the most part reuse a lot of what was already there.
What was already there? Yep.
And then Spider-Man 2, for the most part, will reuse a lot of what's already there.
Yeah.
So
You're
the only
gonna reuse the
real
whole
thing,
city, Brian. You know.
so
I mean,
so
if
the only
anything,
real thing that they have is the Wolverine stuff, which for the most part they'll probably start from scratch, and they can't really reuse many things
nah,
there.
man, they're gonna man, they're gonna reuse all them trees from Infamous.
And and all the puddles from Spider
But
Man.
yeah, you
Yeah, all
know,
the-
no, or
It's
lack
gonna be
of puddles.
it's gonna be all evergreen trees and puddles.
Well, they're
Yeah,
gonna
so, like,
reuse the
that's
animations
like-
where the Spider-Man gets on the boat.
Yeah, right.
That's like the only game that they are like really starting from scratch, and they're not really doing anything with. And from what I've seen so far, they've pretty much just done what Cyberpunk did with the OG trailer. In that they said, "Hey, we're making this game. How far in dev it is, we have no idea. But the fact
Yeah.
that it's just a CG trailer, there's been no dates, no nothing. It's just that.
Yeah.
It's a fair assumption. Now I'll say again, fair assumption to say it's like 2 or 3 years out.
Yeah,
So
I agree
Probably.
with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
But I
But
guess
still-
you know,
It's a lot of stuff at the same time to do. So props to them.
yeah. I mean, your points make sense. It's just the fact that we're living in a time where, you know, consistency and punctuality and all that other stuff is just not there for most of the industry. I mean, we have studios that take, you know, several years to come up with one game with even more people developing it. So it's like, you know, I'm not gonna bring up names. I don't want to trigger people, but
Uh-oh.
And then Carlos, you have other studios that come out with no games 7 times.
damn it, I didn't get it, Brian. I'm sorry.
Blue box.
Oh, That's
Oh,
true.
man. All right. Box.
I,
Right, yeah.
Like I just see the fucking that thing that you sent Tony, the fucking timeline where it's all like
Yeah.
2015. This game was promised and announced and never
Didn't go-
released.
Yeah, it just kept happening over and over and over again. Like, goddamn, man. All right, man, let's move on. Another sponsored question by Mr. Romudeath here. Another Damien question.
Oh.
This one might be controversial, people.
What's controversial?
All right. It seems that next holiday might have one of the biggest head-to-heads in gaming with God of War, Ragnarok, and Starfield. How do you feel that head-to-head going down? Which will have the bigger impact and the potential to sell more consoles?
That's actually a good
Different
one.
genres and type of game.
Yeah, thank you, Brett.
Yeah, there is that.
That's my. I'm like, dude, they're 2 different genres, 2 different games, 2 different audiences. There's nothing to compare. You know.
I mean, I'm sure they're probably going to try to stay out of each other's way when it comes to it. You know, like, they're not going to release Starfield and God of War on the same fucking day.
And also
don't say that.
Starfield
Starfield
is also God of War is coming out on the PS4.
Yeah.
Is Starfield coming on Xbox One? I forgot.
I don't know.
No, it's as far as I
mean,
know, I think they're just going to do the game, the you know, essentially the xCloud Game
xCloud?
Pass thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like they look like they've closed the door on anything on the older generation
Yeah,
of
we
Xbox.
noticed that like it doesn't say Xbox One anymore under there. But
So-
we don't want to make
so
that
the-
assumption either. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, even if they do that, you know, Xbox One console owners can play Starfield without having to buy the Xbox Series consoles. And you know, God of War, you can buy a PS4 and play it there, or use your old PS4 and play it there. So I don't think it's, you know, much to speculate about, because these games are, you know, you can play these games if you have last gen consoles.
Yeah. So we're not really going to go into this one. It's just kind of like it's purposeful, like fanboy stuff. So we're not going to get into that. But again, 2 different consoles, 2 different audiences. Nah, dude.
Apples and oranges. But before you label us, you know, like fanboys, I can tell you I'm way more excited for Starfield.
There you go.
All right, say it louder, Brett, just in case.
I'm way more excited for Starfield on the Xbox than I am for God of War on the PlayStation.
There you go. That's
Well,
that's
I mean,
the snippet
I'm-
right there.
I'm-
Put that post that. That's the commercial.
Yeah,
Can I say
and-
something controversial?
What's this
Oh,
controversy?
Whoa,
What's this
whoa,
controversy?
whoa.
At the expense of looking like an idiot a year from now, because we have no fucking clue what this game's gonna be about. I'm looking forward to more Starfield also.
Interesting.
I'm going to say I'm looking forward to Starfield. Granted, I have an idea of what it'll be, and I probably won't play it.
I'm going to say something controversial now.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to playing both.
Oh,
no, yeah, I'm
can't
definitely
do
gonna
that.
play both.
you can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, because
That's not-
Is that, yo, Tony, is that even possible?
is that even possible?
Not according to that. not according to
Damien's
that
head
hat.
just exploded right now. You know.
No, he's like, nah, man. Your hat says PlayStations. That means you can only play PlayStation
Yeah, that's it. I can only
games.
do that, right?
So, no, I mean, that's
Man,
There
you
you go.
got a question. Uh-oh.
whose question.
Damien,
Oh,
man, he wants to know how come you don't have an
speak
Xbox.
of the devil. How come I don't have an Xbox? Because there's nothing on it that I wanted to play.
I mean, I have a question.
immediately.
How come you don't have a PS5?
Oh, because there's nothing I wanted to play immediately.
Yeah. See, come on. Like, Damien's trying to say you don't have an Xbox. He doesn't have a PS5 either, bro. So,
I don't have either. Here's the thing, like Damien, this is what I am in is the thrill me phase, and so far nothing has thrilled me yet. So I haven't bought a console, any of the new consoles yet. It's a both of those consoles are over for like $500. That's a lot of fucking money. I ain't made of money. I'm a fucking artist. You going to give me some of that money with your money that you make there? I hear it's really expensive to live out there in Barbados. Well, it's not
no, it's
Barbados.
the Virgin Islands, man. Respect.
in
bro.
the Virgin Islands.
Well, this is the British Virgin Islands too.
The British Virgin Islands. It's expensive to live out there. So you're swimming in dough. Send me some of that, right?
Yeah. Damien, Manny will happily accept a donated Xbox from you, bro.
Yes, I will happily send. I'll take a pretty photo of it. Make the put the God rays on top of it. Do the artist shit.
We'll do an unboxing and everything, even though we already
Yeah.
have one, done by
Yeah, we
Brett,
already
which
have
is a
one.
masterful unboxing, by the way. Anyway, go ahead, bro. What were you saying?
I was just gonna parrot what you were saying. You got to it before me.
Okay, never. Here you
But
go.
also, I will throw in there. Man, Manny loves video games. Manny doesn't have a whole lot of time to always set aside to play video games, especially since he's under that artist crunch. So it's.
I
Yo,
gotta
man, why is
live,
Jason
man.
Schreier talking about this?
Yeah, I gotta live.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I could look like an idiot a year from now because honestly, we haven't, other than that one video, we really don't know what the hell this game is going to be about, Starfield. But I'm a big Bethesda fan, almost as big as Brett, but not quite there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. God of War, I know what I'm getting, so I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be cool. Starfield, it's just more intriguing for me.
Here's the funny thing about that. I'm excited to play Starfield because I know what I'm getting. I'm gonna get Fallout in space. I'm like, that's great. That's fantastic. Let's go.
I fucking love Fallout. So
Yeah,
if it's
I like Fallout
space,
too. Let's go.
as long as it's single player.
Yeah, and it's also not the Outer Worlds.
For me, like those sorts of Fallout games, they're not really my thing.
Yeah, Manny's
so
not
much.
into big open world games. Like he like to play some, but it can't be like that.
I can't play multiple ones back to back. I just lose it. And I have
You
to
get one a year.
Yeah, I get about one a year. And
Ironically enough, that was Manny's biggest critique about God of War.
Yeah, it was too big.
It was too big. I mean, I just felt like a lot of that. Like I did like smaller moments inside of the God of War game, but I wasn't really. It's missing that sort of. I know Brian also feels this too. It's sort of missing that sort of fun, devil may care sort of vibe of the previous game, and we're now it's now it's serious time. We got kids. You know what I mean?
Say something controversial again.
What's going on?
I was, and I'm being fucking honest. I love every fucking God of War game I've ever played. Love them. God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3, Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta. I didn't play fucking Ascension, so I can't say anything about that.
Okay.
I love those games, but I was getting fatigued with the gameplay. I'm like, this. It's the same. Speaking of you reused assets,
And the formula.
The formula, it was the exact same game. Granted, fucking, I'm gonna go beat fucking Hercules this motherfucking time and bash his fucking head in, and it was fucking awesome. But the formula for me was getting a little bit fatigued. So God of War 2018.
I also felt like the God of War 3 was actually a good ending for the God of War 3, the God of War series, at least for me. Like if that had to be the ending of the franchise, then I'm okay. I was okay with that. So like with the new God of War, I'm like, all right, so we're doing God of War versus the Norse gods, and I don't know. It just wasn't the slower aspect of the game wasn't really happening with me, and it's almost like it's a different animal. It's a totally different animal than the previous ones. Like it's almost like taking Devil May Cry and then turning it down. Turning it down. Like like you get like okay. You get like the previous Devil May Cries, and then you have the newest Devil May Cry, which literally feels like a full-on evolution of whatever the previous one was. But this one was like, okay, we decided to make a new game with the same title, but we decided to go left and just go totally in another direction than what the original version, which we're talking about. Like it's almost like a Dark Souls, Demon Souls sort of idea of an action game, as opposed to sort of those sort of beat 'em up sort of ideas.
All right. Yo, J&L, we'll talk off air, bro, because we may have to do some business. Oh, man.
You got business?
You already know. All right, man, let's move on. Next question. This one is Logic Wins, who's with us tonight, I believe. Oh, yeah, he's chilling. All right.
Shout out to Logic Wins.
Yeah, you already know, man. All right. We talked about this earlier. Okay. Last week's PlayStation Showcase made it abundantly clear that Xbox Game Studios lacks household name IPs like Spider-Man, Wolverine, Pokemon, Mario. Do you believe Microsoft will take comic book licenses more seriously going forward? Microsoft kind of doesn't. They're doing their thing, man. Like Sony's the one that's doing that stuff right now. Like, cause people always seem to like go, oh, this company did this, that means they need to do that. Like when Microsoft bought Bethesda, people are like, oh, who's Sony going to buy the counter? They don't need to do that. They can do something else. So in the same vein, Microsoft doesn't need to go, oh, we need a fucking Iron Fist game. They don't need to worry about that shit. Let them do their thing.
I don't think anybody needs an Iron Fist game.
That is also true. Or an Iron Man game. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't need to do that.
Sony had an Iron Man game too, and it was
Sega
exclusive.
Sega did. Yeah.
No, the VR game. There was an Iron Man VR game that came out.
That's right. I'm thinking about the shitty Sega games.
No.
But my point stands. Like Microsoft doesn't have to, copy what Sony does in that regard. Like, why? What's the point?
Yeah, I don't think there needs to be exact parity.
Yeah.
Between it, because to be honest, when you have exact parity, things start to become sort of boring.
Although I will say, their parity is good in some cases. Like it would be nice if PlayStation had their version of a Game Pass, which would basically just combine PS Now and PSN together, PS Plus. There you see that parity is good, but like, why do we need to make superhero games like just because Sony's doing it? It's dumb,
Yeah.
I mean, and Xbox. I mean, they do have their big franchises. Halo, Gears, Forza. I mean, Fallout doesn't really have like that type of, I guess, main character that.
Pip-Boy, man, that's an icon.
Pip-Boy, yeah, icon.
Icon.
But yeah, they don't. Because I saw this on Twitter. People, a lot of my Xbox friends were losing their shit because, they're like, oh shit. So because they don't have PlayStations, they were like, oh, why are they getting Wolverine? Phil, what are you doing? Like, I'm like, Phil's good. He got fucking good. Bethesda. He got Elder Scrolls. He got Senua's Sacrifice 2, Psychonauts 2.
And let me also mention that the franchises they got were all original franchises. They were not they're not based off of some comic book. That's I mean, that's pretty awesome right there in itself.
Yeah,
right?
Doom, Wolfenstein, like
Fallout, literally the history of PC gaming they got by getting Bethesda.
Yeah.
So I mean, the history of American of Western developed games. So they got Quake and Halo. They got all this. I mean, all this great stuff.
Yeah, like all under one house. So
all under one house.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing they did for sure. You always said
Microsoft
Microsoft exclusive money.
Yeah,
that shit.
We get the gas.
So yeah, they don't need to copy that shit. All right.
No, they don't need to.
Moving on. This one's also about superheroes. This one's a little bit more technical. So Manny, you may have some insight into this.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, Image and Valiant Comics have a wealth of mature superhero IPs like Invincible, Harbinger, Bloodshot, etc. And it frustrates me that Microsoft isn't even trying to acquire these licenses. Could you guys give us any insight into the intricacies of making these deals? From my perspective, it seems like ignorance on Phil Spencer's part. Damn. So, Manny, I don't know if you have any knowledge about like what goes into licensed games or anything like that.
Well, I mean, each sort of licensed game is actually it first it has to do with whoever's doing the licensing. So that means that a company like, let's say, let's just say Microsoft, for the sake of conversation, it has interest in a specific IP. That means that they would have to contact them, and the studio would have to license it to them to create this sort of property. But in the case of, I think, what is it, Marvel? I think in their case, I think they do own the iterations that that these other companies make. Though they partially that they have something to do with. So in other words, I don't think Insomniac owns the version of Spider-Man that they created for the Spider-Man game. Like some studios would. Like, in other words, if you license, let's say you licensed some to do a Hellboy game, the company that made the Hellboy game doesn't own the rights to Hellboy himself, but they do own the rights to the iteration of Hellboy that they created for that specific instance. So I mean, a lot of it just also has to do with what the interest of the company doing the licensing has within this. So, okay, yeah, they'll go, they have to go over to Kirkman and have to pitch the deal. Then Kirkman has to tell them, okay, and his guys have to look at the situation and see if this is the best representation of their character. Now, the thing about this is that you got to understand is that just because you don't hear these things happening doesn't mean that they're not happening behind the scenes. There are so many things that happen within licensing and gaming and comics that you guys would flip your lid if you actually knew what these things were. But at the same time, things don't work out, and then it just doesn't happen. So we don't know if they're not making any sort of deals. And maybe some party at one point just said, you know what, I don't want to do this, or said, this is too much to invest in this thing, and then the thing will just fall apart. I'm just speculating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're like the most insightful, you have the most insight to this, so can't really add to that.
It's like the biggest one I know of is, especially because I worked on the Ninja Turtles franchise, at least the cartoons. We had two different companies essentially. We had Konami who had the franchise before then, who was making our games. They made Ninja Turtles Smash Up and all that stuff, but then eventually they lost the rights to it, and then it went to Ubisoft. Now Ubisoft really wanted to do that Turtles in Time game, but they don't own the rights to Turtles in Time. So what did they do? They made a remake of it in 3D.
Yeah. Yeah, that game. Which you can't get anymore, by the way.
No, you can't.
Yeah. All right, man. Moving on here.
Lost media.
Yeah, right. Forever. This one is from Tumeke, who's been joining us in the chat all night as Blitz. This question is the perpetual question. This is an evergreen question, which we could pretty much answer every 3 months or so. You know? But I'll read his full question here. Now that we have a better idea of what each company has coming over the next few years, what are you most looking forward to, regardless of platform, and why? Personally, I am probably most hyped for Gran Turismo 7, as it's not far away and it looks like a return to form. Obviously, looking forward to Wolverine, but I don't know enough yet. So yeah, the harder question is what games are you looking forward to? Yes, a question you guys can ask us like every 3 months or so. Because things change.
For how long?
No, in the coming years, doesn't matter how long. Like Wolverine, okay. So it doesn't. There's no real thing. But my answer hasn't really changed. Actually, I got two answers. One, that fucking Ninja Turtles game. Since we're just talking about that, give me that shit. Final Fantasy 16, bro. You already know.
Oh,
I am so hyped for that game. That's like the game I'm most anticipating this generation, man. You saw that trailer? Oh, so good.
Wait, we got a trailer?
Yeah, the only trailer they've ever released, but it looks so fucking good.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I thought we got something like this week. I'm like, is he on me?
No, if we would have got a new thing, the whole show would have been that,
Yeah, he was like, stop it, man.
Fuck everything, man. We're talking about Final Fantasies right now, But yeah, Final Fantasy 16, that's my most anticipated game for sure. Carlos, what about you?
Man, this is a hard one.
for me, it's easy because I also my other criteria is like, what's the only next gen game? Like, I don't think Final Fantasy 16 is coming to PS4, so I think I'm safe with that. You know, it's like God of War. I'm obviously hyped for that. Horizon, but they're both coming to PS4, so a little bit of that luster is kind of gone. You know, oh, that's why you're having difficulty because gotcha.
Yeah, because I Horizon, God of War, like those are come to mind, but they're PS4 games.
Yeah, they
so
are.
I'm gonna enjoy them, but my hype can only has such high of a ceiling for a PS4 game.
Yeah.
So I think my answer is going to be, man, Final Fantasy 16 is good, man.
You already know.
I fucking love 15.
Yeah, 15 was fantastic. Your boy got the platinum in that too. You know.
I need 2 more trophies for it, man.
Oh, one of them's that fucking turtle one, isn't it? We got to defeat.
Yeah, one of them is that motherfucking turtle, and the other one is the final one because I have to collect swords.
Yeah.
I have to collect the sword that's in the fucking puzzle, puzzle room. Yeah, I went to look for it. That shit got confusing. I'm like, all right, I'm done.
You know what's funny about that sword? Like, because I heard a lot of other people had problems with it. I just found it just randomly, just me exploring.
Oh, man.
So I'm like, cool, you know.
I spent 2 hours.
Yeah. The turtle's the one I had to put a lot of work into, though. Fuck, because it literally takes like 2 hours to beat this thing. You know.
Yeah, it's got it's got infinite XP, man.
Yeah, basically, you know.
Or HP.
All right, so
Final Fantasy 16 is a good one. Man, I still gotta go with. I think this might be sacrilegious. I think it's Starfield.
Say it, brother.
Whoa.
Say it with your chest.
There you go.
But I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't because it's taking out of Brett's thunder. I know that's his answer too.
Brett, do you accept the sacrilege?
You know, I do. I mean, I've been lonely on this side of the fence, so I'm totally welcome back over.
Brett, so you gotta. This is you mentioned earlier that you don't really understand me yet. I love Bethesda, man.
I've gotten that impression.
Give me Doom Eternal, all the Fallouts except for the first one and the second one because I didn't play those. Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, Skyrim, fucking. I love all those games. I just didn't play Fallout 76 because it was a multiplayer game. So that's why I think that's why I drew the line in the sand for that game. But everything else I fucking love, man. Fucking New Vegas, give me that shit now. Remake that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's one of the most what is the word I'm looking for? Expansive games, ambitious games. There we go. It's one of the more ambitious games that we've seen in a while because they're building the whole Bethesda experience down from the ground up on a new engine, which we've been asking for years. Like that's the big thing about Starfield that really gets me. Like, oh shit, the new Bethesda engine. This is how the next Fallout and Elder Scrolls is gonna run. So
and Tony mentioned he's like, yeah, Fallout in space. I'm like, excuse me.
That's
when you put it that way, it's like it's over.
Yep. Yeah. Somebody told me
on a new engine.
Where he was basically saying like, what is it like? It's like I think Skyrim in space, and I was like, oh, okay, yes, I'm down.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it is Starfield.
Cool. All right, Brian.
Can I answer for Brian?
Go ahead. Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
But actually finish
the question was.
Yeah, the question was, what game are you most anticipating in the coming years? Star Citizen.
So years, not decades.
Yeah.
Endure.
Seriously, I'm getting annoyed now. That game, Jesus Christ. Well, I say that game. That thing.
Yeah, that
exists.
thing. Yeah.
I want to say Final Fantasy 16 because I want to see how they deal with that.
Yes.
You know. But then it's like, okay, that's like on the side. What's the? I totally forgot his name. The Pearl Abyss guys. They're making a game after Black Desert online. It's like sounds something similar, like something Flame or something. Brett, I'm looking at you.
I can't think of the damn name. I know the game you're talking about.
Yeah, we saw it.
It was like Crimson Flame or some shit like that. It was a color and an adjective.
Yeah. Color and adjective.
Color and noun.
Yeah, whatever they're working on. I'm sure that someone in the chat is typing it out right now.
Yeah, let us know what it is, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm just on a different screen, so I can't see. But yeah, that's the one that
Crimson
I'm looking
Desert?
forward to. Yes, that's the one.
There you go. Color and thing. Color and place.
It's a color in the place.
Yeah, it's a color in a
Yeah.
place.
Can I
every
answer for
game on my
Chris?
Steam Deck can't vary? You crazy.
I'm gonna answer for Chris. I think I'm gonna go with Elden Ring.
Yeah, there is Elden
Yeah, Brett, I'm
Ring.
surprised you didn't say Elden Ring, man.
I'm excited about Elden Ring, but man, it was a Sophie's choice over here.
Oh, I got you.
It was
And then-
the only thing about me
Yeah,
and
man,
Elden
yours.
Ring. The only thing about me and Elden Ring is I hear it's an open world and everyone. I have to say I'm pretty excited for this sounds like I'm saying something Tony might say, but I'm sort of excited for the new Spider-Man game. I had a really great time with that game. It was one of those. Yeah, Spider-Man 2. It's got from what we know, it's got Kraven in it. It's got Venom in it. Looks like Miles and Peter are going to be doing some craziness. So yeah, I'm interested, despite with us not actually seeing any sort of gameplay for it. But
You kind of know
I'm
what's gonna be.
looking for a good escapist time and not to be depressed by some post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, no Ragnarok.
And Ragnarok is, I'll play it, but it's not something that I would want to buy. It's not something I'm planning to buy a PlayStation 5 for.
You can play it on your PlayStation 4.
I can play it on my PlayStation 4. I could get the cheaper version and play it on PlayStation 4. But
Only a $10 upgrade.
If I want to get the platinum, which I didn't get the platinum in the previous one.
Whoa.
But yeah, I didn't bother on the last one. I after I was done, I'm like, oh good, thank God, I'm fucking done with this game.
Damn.
It wasn't. I can't. This may sound like blasphemy, but it was kind of a slog for me to kind of go through that game. I almost didn't. It almost felt like work, and I don't like game. I'm working all fucking time. I'm working now.
Which game are you talking about?
God of War, 2018.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, it felt like work to me. So at some point I just I want to have a nice escapist sort of time, and I don't want to be working on my other job, which is playing video games.
Yeah. All right.
An answer for Adam?
Yes, you can.
It's Skate 4.
It's Skate 4.
I'm
I'm still waiting for it.
Still waiting. We got a trailer. We're gonna get a trailer. Gotta have some.
Adam loves extreme sports and games and stuff. Skating and stuff like that. I know he was a little disappointed with the demo for that one game that Ubisoft had not long ago.
Riders Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not very happy with that. So I could sense his disappointment on it because he was expecting something a little more fun and in depth for that.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Next question. Also from Tomeka. Oh, this one's a little bit deep.
Oh.
Right. He goes, we had a great Xbox E3 and now a great PlayStation showcase, but all the online talk is about reuse animations and pre-alpha graphics. In those cases, God of War and Redfall for that one. Where is the fucking hype for all the actual games? We have another Halo test flight coming, which should get Halo fans amped. Sony just showed a heap of games PlayStation fans love and want, yet all we see is bickering and virtual dick measuring. And honestly, most of the people bickering probably have micro dicks. Oh boy.
Damn. That's how you really feel, Dumeke.
He goes, unfortunately, in this day and age, we need to go online to get our gaming news fix, and it sucks that it's actually pretty hard to find anything worthwhile or positive. He's 100% right, though, man. Every game that gets announced is just, negativity everywhere,
It's an interesting thing, but it's like the sad part of it is that the people that are all bickering and all that sort of stuff, they're a minority, but they're also the loudest. They're able to essentially ruffle people's feathers and get people to talk about these things.
You mean like Damien?
Oh, shots fired.
My man John Lindemann had to call him out,
I'll say this. It's like, do we need to go down that road? Do we just because are these is this your mama? Are we talking about your mama right now? It's just a fucking console, and I understand wanting to support it and continue to support your console and want them to continue to make games. But at the same time, yeah, where is that? Why is the bullshit always the loudest when they're literally you have all these things, all this really cool stuff that's coming?
Yeah, it's just sad. Everybody.
It's the human lot in life, right? People like that, like controversy, like those sorts of things. They have their little tribes, and they'll sit in that tribe and defend it till they die, even when their tribe is being a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. And the problem is now with the internet, it's easy to get into those kind of tribes and not kind of see the outside world for what it is, because if you're trying to do that in a real world setting, people would check you real quick. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you acting this way? But online, you have people that encourage that type of behavior,
It's incredibly childish, and why not be a real adult and actually look at these things for what they are? Why are we complaining about reused animations? Why are we complaining about granted Craig did look pretty bad, but still at the same time, like, think about it. You got a really damn cool looking Halo, especially from that online mode that they showed pretty recently. And I don't know if anybody in the chat here have actually played it.
I'm going to be in the next flight, so I will be checking it out.
So yeah, I think I feel like what you really should do, and this is you, Damien, outweigh all the negativity with a bunch of positive shit. Tell the world how great you think these things are. Don't be trying to get the gotcha moment on somebody on Digital Foundry, because that's just childish. Why are you wasting your time with this dude when you could be playing your games right now and telling him how great Ori and the Blind Forest, how great Psychonauts 2 is right now? Why aren't we hearing that shit? What, everybody all of a sudden was like, Psychonauts 2, like, hey, Psychonauts 2, where's that shit now?
Oh shit.
Right?
Yeah.
What did you just only care about Psychonauts 2 because Xbox has it under their wing right now? Come on, man.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't really have much to add because I've talked about this before. Just this gamer negativity, and I also think just because of the fact there's not a lot of new games to talk about or play, people are just getting antsier.
Just to so people won't go crazy. New AAA games.
Yeah, new AAA games on both consoles. Not just one.
Oh no, on all the fucking Nintendo. What the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, well, Nintendo. I don't even count them part of the conversation. That's like both consoles.
And that's when the Nintendo people come after you, like, whoa.
Yo, man, I want my Super Mario Odyssey 2, man.
Yeah, no, but you're right.
I'm
Across
waiting.
the board, Carlos, man, it's been dry. Yes, I understand there's indie games, and listen, if you're into indie games, you're fucking swimming in games right now. I envy that. I'm dead ass. I envy that, but it's like for guys like me, it's like
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this though. Is an indie game something you're gonna buy a $500 console for?
Absolutely not.
I mean,
no way in hell.
Hold on. An indie game or all indie games? Because I think the Steam Deck would like a word.
Oh. Damn it, Brett. Now you reminded me. I still got to wait a long time for that shit.
Well, I mean,
let me check if the dates have changed. 1 second.
I've been checking mine too.
Yeah.
You're like,
tell me Q4 2020
By the way,
or 2021.
I don't know if this is a fucked up mentality to have, but like to me, I'm like, if I'm gonna buy an indie game, I'm buying it on PC. I'm not buying it for a console. I
do you feel like you're? Do you feel like you're a little more accepting of an indie game on a PC than a console?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Also, obviously, you can play them on consoles, but it just feels like PCs are. Like indies are more at home on PC. Maybe it's just a mental thing. I don't know, but that's just the way I feel about it.
It's an interesting. It's funny because it's an interesting mentality because most AAA games were essentially indie games. Like if you go back in time, Doom was an indie game. There was no big company.
Yeah.
There was no big company behind id Software. They made that.
Oh no,
shit
you're
on
right,
their
but
own.
like that was still like top of the line as far as technology goes. So like indie games nowadays, it means like smaller kind of technological, not technologically advanced games. They're not pushing the bound. Doom was pushing the fucking boundaries.
I mean, also like then we look at what Ninja Theory is sort of doing, where they're sort of doing the blend of like being a smaller, like a smaller independent company, but making those sorts of big games. Like plug Odyssey to the West and Slave just was like $2 on Steam right now.
Buy that shit,
stuff
people
like that.
buy it, great game.
It's a great game, but that's an indie studio. There was no big guys behind that.
Yeah.
But don't buy it if you don't intend to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't buy it if you don't play it.
There you go. Yeah. According to some people, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, me.
Yeah. By the way, Carlos, I'm still there. Like, should I buy these Final Fantasy games right now? So I know they're gonna go on sale, but I'm like, fuck.
Oh yeah.
Man,
so I'm like, I got the money, and I'm gonna buy them eventually.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a question if I will buy them.
I will.
I was actually side note on those Final Fantasy games. I was actually watching a really good video on YouTube, which actually analyzed all the different versions of it.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those.
And what essentially they're essentially updated versions of like a DS, like one of the later DS versions of it.
Interesting.
With sprites that are all redrawn by the original sprite artists for those games.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, man, why didn't do 7-Up? Anyways, I'm still Q1 2022.
Oh damn. When is mine?
Yeah.
Q1 for me? Was that what I had? I forgot. I gotta check. Anyway, negativity we talk about it's bullshit. Try to find the positive. It's hard.
It's funny because like I guess I'm not so into the sort of deep into. I hear more of the about what's going on as far as negativity from the guys here on the show than I actually see on my timeline. But then again, I'm not watching a bunch of games.
You're not following them. Yeah. By the way, there's some other stuff going on in gaming that I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to start chisme between other podcasts and other guys like that. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about. That I'll leave it alone. But there's some going on. I'm pretty sure people are like, what the fuck is chisme? Look it up. It's Hispanic. All right, let's move on. Next question here. We're gonna talk about some Deathloop right now.
Whoa.
Some question. First question comes. Eurocar 9. Guy has great hair, by the way. You just gotta say that.
On the streets.
Yes. Can the panelists who've played Deathloop, this will be me and Brett, give their quick reviews? Does it live up to the hype it's been receiving? All right. Full disclosure, I gotta get my usual game review, but they also gave me a second review, to play out. I'm like, first guy I thought, I gotta give this shit to Brett, So hooked them up with a review, and both of us are pleasantly surprised by this game. It's fucking awesome, So Brett, you go first, man.
Okay, so I'm just gonna try and be a little objective here, and then just go full fanboy.
Yes.
So, I was expecting a certain type of game. I was expecting what they kind of show you on the previews, like, oh yeah, run around, shoot people, slide around, punch stuff, cool. Gotta kill all 8 guys. Yeah, got it. And then I got the game, and for some reason, all of a sudden, all the pieces like clicked. Like you play it for a few hours, and you're like, yeah, shooter, cool. And then you start kind of realizing, like, oh, I am playing the same levels, and I knew I was going to be, but now it's almost in a time travel kind of way, because like something happens in the afternoon, so that I know I can finish the loop and then go back to the next morning and undermine that thing that's going to happen by doing this thing in the morning, and the result is this person going here or this person doing that. So the game then becomes like this kind of almost like this puzzle where you're trying to plan how to do your how to approach your attacks individually, how to string them all together, what you want to kind of get before that. So it's linear, but it leaves a lot of choice open. So it was a little bit surprising with that. And then as I'm sitting there playing, I was telling Morgan about how like, oh, I got to go to this guy, and I got to go to this guy, and I got to go to this guy. All of a sudden, it fucking clicked to me. Like, I got to go to this boss and get his power. Got to go to this boss, get this power. Got to go to this boss, get his power. Sound familiar, Tony?
Yeah, the old Mega Man, baby.
Yep.
Mega
it
Man.
plays like a fucking Mega Man game.
Yep. Yeah, because you can do them in any order you want to. You know.
Yeah. And none of the bosses, like I was expecting the boss to be like these crazy overpowered meat shields, and they weren't. There was like a couple of times where I just straight up smoked one of these guys without them ever seeing me. Like one shot between the eyes takes him down.
Yeah.
The first guy is teleporting all around. I'm just sitting there with my fucking rifle, like teleport shoots me a little bit, teleport shoots me a little bit. I'm just standing there waiting. Teleports appears in front of me and blam, put one right between his eyes and fucking laid him out in one shot. And it's like, oh, I was figuring that was gonna be way harder than it was.
Yeah. Oh,
Cool.
Brett, I have a similar story because that same guy's name is Charlie, right? So I got into a big fight with all his people, right? So they're all spreading around and stuff. So I'm running around and I just kill whoever's in front of me because I'm just trying to get out of the way. So there's this one guy in front of me and it's dark in there so I can't see, right? So this guy in front of me, I just run up to him, crack his neck, and they're like, "You killed Charlie." I'm like, "Oh shit, okay," like because he was just running around too, you know. So I love that, and that's just one of the ways they come because you could kill them multiple times to get their powers again, get more upgrades. So I'm like, so that was just one of the ways I killed him, you know.
Dude, I accidentally killed him while having a fight with Juliet.
Yes,
that's another great thing. Like, so this game, you think everything's going to be the same. You kind of get loaded into this. Okay, like I'm going to go here and do this and go here, and then I'm just become the supreme badass that knows everything that's going to happen in all of these. Enter the female lead of the game, whose job it is to hunt down the male leader of the game, and is played either by an AI or by other people jumping into your game. And let me tell you, that throws a huge X factor into your play. You're like, okay, I got these 3 lives to get through this level. I got to do this, this, and this, and all of a sudden she shows up. You're like, fuck. She kills me once. I could be running low on lives. This is about to get real hard. But if you beat her, you get some sweet ass loot.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of fun, and especially when this game comes out and everybody is playing it. Like, you will be hounded by this player through most of the game, and that's actually by design. He's supposed to be the chaos factor. So you can do this the same way, but you don't know how she's going to affect it. You don't know who she could be because she could be blending in somewhere, or what tactics. Maybe she's stirring up proximity mines where you usually go. You don't know because it's a very freeform, almost Hitman-esque approach to completing missions in a small but contained open world. So it tends to, like, I was talking about how Tony and I, this is one of the first games in a while that just really gets it for both of us because it's open world, it's choice, but it's linear and it's a narrative. The art style is actually pretty fucking awesome.
I like it a lot.
Kind of like 60s style, and the music that goes on there, like one of the first times in a long time that I've sat back and been like, wow, this music is really good. Like it's the sound, like it checks all the boxes. And so I was expecting, kind of fun, generic Bulletstorm-esque shooter, and instead I got this really engaging, clever game that is telling a story, but not through the usual trope mechanics. It's actually doing something fresh, different. I'll be honest. I know I'm a BioWare fan. I wasn't a huge fan of the Dishonored games, so I was kind of a little bit.
That's Bethesda, by the way.
Excited.
That's Bethesda, yeah.
Yeah. I know. And they're not all winners. And not talking shit on Dishonored for you people out there that just got super angry at me. But I was saying Dishonored didn't really scratch an itch for me.
Agreed.
So I didn't know what to think coming into this game, and I was pleasantly surprised, which, being the quasi Bethesda fanboy that I am, is also surprising. So
yeah, for me, good stuff. I don't really have too much to add that because I feel a lot the same way. But yeah, because my thing was like, I didn't care for Dishonored. I didn't like Prey. I reviewed Prey. I'm like, I didn't like that game very much. So I wasn't expecting too much from Deathloop. But I'm like, oh, here we go. It's the fucking time travel mechanic bullshit. Here we fucking go. But then I checked out a preview a few months ago. I'm like, this is actually kind of cool. There's actually a story here. It's not just some random bullshit. And what first initially told me was developers stated this is not a roguelike game at all, which is not, because levels are not randomized. It's always the same shit all the time, and you don't, and also, you get a lot of lives. Like it's very rare when like I completely fail. Like I always have like at least one life left. But yeah, one thing I'm just trying to fill in the holes you left. I love the traversal in this game because, like, I always feel first-person parkour could be hit or miss. This game does it well. And I love the fact that if I'm running and I start going downstairs, like circular stairs, my momentum doesn't, like, diminish. Like, in some first-person games, when you're running, you kind of come to a dead stop, then you got to turn and then run again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
run, and you can just pull, 180-degree turns and it doesn't throw you out of your run.
Yeah, and then, but on top of that, not only can you do that, but then also jump and still maintain the same momentum. I'm like, this is crazy. You know?
Yeah, and there's no fucking stamina bar or anything you need to worry about.
Nope. So when Julia, I learned her from running away from Julia. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta run away from this bitch. But and I want to add to what you said. I love the fact that because I'm in there, I'm like, okay, I'm going to this level. This is my objective. Because you always have these kind of micro objectives till it's complete. I know where the enemies are. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Then she jumps in like, oh shit, here we go. I gotta count for her now. Which is always cool.
You know what she's gonna do? Like I was telling you, she came into my game. It said Julia's entered your game. Yeah. Juliet is entered your game. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of at the back of a hallway in kind of this little storage room kind of thing. Like, perfect. I'm gonna set a turret up in the hallway and kind of sit back and duck under here. When this bitch comes around the corner, I'm gonna vaporize her. All of a sudden, she kicks in the window, smashes through the window behind me, and just starts fucking unloading on me. I mean, luckily enough, I turned around and I shotgunned her down. But I was sitting there like, I was not expecting her to go around it. I don't know why. It was like, oh, I got this bitch, smashing the window. So it's pretty dynamic and it's fun, man.
Yeah, no, I like that. One of the coolest things to happen to me is I find this little like corner. I'm like, okay, she's coming. I'm gonna just wait and stuff. So I hear this woman laughing by me, like, haha, you really think you're gonna fool me with that? I turn around, I see just a regular NPC morphs into her. Then she starts shooting like, oh shit, she just snuck up on me, and she made fun of me on top of that. It's fun. I love it. It's great. So to answer the question, yes, I think it did live up to hype because obviously this game's been marketed to high hell. I kind of understand why, because it's really cool. And again, I also appreciate the fact that it's not like a fucking 50 million hour long game. I'm on the the end portion of it, like because the whole goal is you got to bring all the kind of enemies together within the span of a day to kill them all. That's not a spoiler. They literally tell you that. So I'm at that point now, So I'll be beating it, and then my review comes. This is a game like I need to beat this, then I'll review it. It's fucking amazing. It's really cool, and I hope, and not hope, I will play it again slower because obviously I had to rush a little bit for the review. But this game is one that, even though you can rush it if you want, it's worked fine for me. It kind of begs you to play slow because there's just so many different ways. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, I got to do subjective, but I don't feel like going this way. Oh, there's another way. Oh, wait, there's another way. Like I kept just finding all this shit. Sometimes after the fact, which been like, damn, I could have just went through that manhole down there and just came to the mansion that way. So I love that type of design. It's cool.
It's funny, like because I actually got to see Tony play a little bit of it yesterday when I was up in New York, and I was very impressed with it because of the way the level sort of loops around itself. Where, in other words, you can find all kinds of different shortcuts that lead to places that you recognize. So it's almost like being the idea. It's like I liken it to like growing up in a neighborhood and knowing every single shortcut inside of that neighborhood. So you spent so long going in and out on all these different locations, seeing it in different times of day, seeing it in different weather patterns.
Yes.
Really cool. and sort of just learning the things, and then now once you've gotten so good at it, now you can take down the enemy character can pop up anytime, or you can have alternate ways to get inside of your safe house, or go into other places that were that sort of link up to other areas.
Yeah, no, and this is something Brett brought up, which is a great point. I didn't realize that. Like, both of us were like this. When we first started playing the game, for the first half of it, we're very slow, very methodical about shit. Now we're both just running around, just killing everything in sight. And then Brett was like, dude, this is the way it would be if you were in an actual time loop. You'd be very slow at first because you don't know what's going on. But then when you're used to it, when you feel safe, you're just going to run through it. Like, that's literally every time loop story that you've seen ever. That's what happens, So it's cool to live that.
Narrative,
yeah. And I'm like, so it's cool how the game narratively does that without flat out telling you that, It's dope, man.
And dude, it's weird and it's fun how it evolves. I'm not sure if any of you seen The Day After Tomorrow, but it's kind of like that. Only good Tom Cruise movie.
I don't know about
that. Speaking of controversial takes, that's the most controversial one.
I'm just talking shit now. Okay, so that movie, it's very much like that. You get out and you're like, okay, I gotta mark this guy, and I gotta do that. I'm gonna zoom in and see who this person is, what kind of kit they're wearing, and what their personality type is. Flash forward 9 hours later, you kick open a door, throw a grenade, and what's up, bitches? Doing shotgun?
Let's go.
Like I was marking people, counting people, watching their routes. Now I run in with a fucking shotgun, teleport in, start hurling people into the air and against walls, throwing them up, shoot them in the air. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
I will say this: I wasn't looking forward to this game just by looking at the all 500 of the trailers that were shown in all the in the press conferences. But after, and this is why I can appreciate, reviewers and stuff. A lot of people were hyping it. I'm like, it got my attention more. Doesn't mean I was gonna buy it, but Tony reviewed it and Brett, is playing it. So it's like getting to hear all the feedback and changing sort of a little bit of the perspective of what the game is actually about is something that made me want to get it, and I think I'm gonna buy it. It comes out tonight.
Yeah, tonight. Yeah, right now. Carlos, I suggest you buy it. I'm gonna say this though, for a game that received so many like trailers and previews, they did a terrible job marketing this game. None of that shit shows you what the actual like feel of that game is like at all.
It makes you feel like Bulletstorm.
Yeah, it just looks like a generic. Shooter. Yeah, it looks like a generic shooter. But when you actually play, you're like, oh, this is cool. This is really neat. It's not doing anything relatively like new or groundbreaking, but the way it does it is really cool. It's very innovative. It feels fresh, even though you've kind of done these type of things before. Or experienced them in other media too. But again, that's why I always say, I don't really focus so much on new ideas. I worry about how things are implemented, how they're executed. This does it very, very well. The only complaint I have, and Brett, this is the only part you and I disagree, and it's not a super complaint. I got used to it. It took me a while to get used to the humor. It was not, because my thing is like, okay, these are 1960s people, and they behaving like 2020 people, with the all constant snark. It's like, did Josh Whedon write this shit? Everybody's just so fucking snarky, and like quips and shit. Like everybody's a little too smart, but I eventually kind of just let that go. I'm like, wait, this is just a zany, over the top world, so the dialogue has to be zany, over the top. And then I made peace with it,
I think I prefer that to the dark and gritty that they could have gone. Like, I've played that. It's cool. It's fun. But yeah, to hear it's a really interesting banter too, because it does go back and forth, but that's because they know each other, but one of the parties doesn't really know that they know each other. So like, after a couple of, even after one back and forth, he's like, "Did we date? Is that what this is?"
Yep. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we dated." Like
exactly.
He's like, yeah. So I eventually got I made peace with him. Like, okay, the dialogue, as weird as it initially was, it fits that world too. And you're right, Brett. With so many dour, depressing games, it's kind of nice to just have something that's silly and goofy, but it takes itself seriously enough,
Yeah. Well, it's just punctuated by like shit talking. Like the game is overall serious, and then Juliet, I think that's her name, Juliana, one of those two. Like the comments between her and the main character are they're moments of levity.
Yes.
But not necessarily like they're joking around. It's just smart ass comments back to each other. And it's the funny thing that I like about it is it's a little tit for tat, and then one of them always wins. You can always tell, like, somebody always hangs up that radio in frustration.
Yes, yeah, you're right about that. It's always funny when that happens, like, "Rawr," and they just hang up.
Yep.
Or even Colt sometimes like, "Did she just hang up on me?"
She hung up on me.
Oh man, good stuff. So yeah, I definitely lived up to the hype. I just wish it would. I agree, marketing was not good. So I'm glad, like, guys like me and Brett are here to tell you guys what's up.
Dope game.
Yeah, dope game. Get it. All right. Next up, still on Deathloop here. This one is a sponsored question from Eurocar, originally from Mob Hits. Deathloop is being praised for its mechanics. Do you guys feel that the copycat studios will start to replicate this type of gameplay in their games soon? This is an interesting question because I don't feel, like I said before, I don't think the game's doing anything overtly new. It's just doing it very well. So I don't think there's going to be any copycats, to be honest.
It's a definitely. I disagree. I think it's a new way to approach game. Like, instead of giving you different places that you can go, they gave you different times that you can go, and everything changes in the different times. All the guard layouts, the weather patterns, all that stuff. So,
like a Zelda game.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like, because we've seen variants of this, like even with Metal Gear, it's like you could play different times a day and stuff. This is just more extreme, different weather patterns too. So again, it's just taking ideas that exist, just doing it really well.
Well, it does the whole like time travel thing really well, and that it's a loop, so it's not necessarily a paradox.
Yeah.
But also they do the time travel thing of like, okay, saw a house burned down at night. I should come back in the morning before it burns down.
I like that.
And after a minute, you start thinking like that, and it's you catch yourself thinking, and you're like, it's just a weird concept to wrap your brain around. Be like, oh, it burned down tonight. I better get here this morning tomorrow. What? I don't. Just the idea of I need to get there this morning tomorrow is such a weird sentence.
Yeah,
but
in the context of the game, it makes sense. You know.
Yeah, but the problem with that is it's relegated to you can only really do that in a time travel story.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's going to be a thing that's widely adaptable. I think that the whole beauty in it is not just that they told a time travel story, but that they told a time travel story and they did it well, taking into consideration all the things that would go along with it. So the next game that they make, I just hope they put equal consideration in. It doesn't need to be a time travel thing. And I don't even know if this game will be able to have a sequel. I haven't gotten to the end yet, but it kind of feels like a one and done.
Yeah. By
the way,
go ahead.
It will be a one and done.
For PlayStation.
PlayStation.
Oh my god, dude. The reaction to this game. I have never seen fanboys so fucking confused. On the one hand, they want to praise this game because it's a Sony exclusive, but it's made by Bethesda Studios, which is an Xbox person. And I've heard people saying like, yeah, well, Microsoft doesn't get any of the money of that because it's out on PlayStation. Other people are like, what? No, of course they get money for it. They own the company. So I've never seen more panicked and like confused. It's like telling a robot to divide by zero. It's been fucking fantastic.
Oh no, Brett, you forgot. I love it. By the way, you forgot the other side. The Xbox guys, they want to shit on this game, but they can't because it's a Bethesda game that's owned by Microsoft.
Because it's a Bethesda game and it's coming to Game Pass, and they don't want to have to eat their socks when it comes out on Game Pass.
Yeah, so both fanboy sides are just like, what do we do here? Meanwhile, guys like me and you, we don't give a fuck. We're just having fun with the game, you know.
This is one of those what we call the gray area games where essentially it's, essentially it doesn't fit the narrative of either side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So each side has to hold their tongue because it's like, oh well, it's a this. Oh, but it's a good. Oh wait, no, it's not. Oh no, it's coming to. See,
they aren't holding their tongue. They're just obviously arguing with themselves.
Yeah,
it's because
better.
It's because it's not a black. It's not what is can be considered a black and white situation, as a lot of these idiots seem to see this shit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, yeah, it's like, hey, just listen, just play your games, man. Whatever.
Just play the game, man.
Yeah.
Yo, man. You don't need to worry. You know, if you want to blow everything and get all angry, Deathloop is gonna be coming to your Xbox, and you're gonna get that shit for free because it's a first party title, and all the first party titles all come to Game Pass. So you're all good. Now the bigger question is, what is this? Is Bethesda / Microsoft going to continue to support Deathloop after the fact? Is this a one and done, or is this something that they will continue to continue as a multi-platform game, or is it something that they'll just be like, now Deathloop is a Microsoft only title?
Yeah, because we know for a fact it's coming to Game Pass next year. They already said that. Because here's the thing, and this might be. I may be coming from a bad standpoint because I'm kind of just using fanboys as an example here, but like, I see that some PlayStation fans. I'm talking about the hardcore guys. Maybe like, why am I going to buy this game? I'm never going to be able to play the sequel. Fuck this shit, right? And then on the other side, the Xbox side, people be like, okay, the game's been out a year. We know when it comes to Game Pass, what do I care? You know, so it seems like it may have to go uphill, like an uphill battle. So I kind of believe this game will be one and done because of those factors. I think it's only being the first game being exclusive is, and now, but the company's owned by somebody else is kind of going to hurt its progress,
Or, and hear me out.
Yeah.
It gets released on Game Pass as they're announcing the second one.
But the thing is, the first game needs to sell well, doesn't it?
No. Game Pass has enough of a large install base that the game's good enough by any measure to be worth trying if you have it for free. And so just about everybody who has Game Pass is like, I don't want to go out and spend $60 on it, but I'll give it a try. They'll get 3 hours in and be like, oh, this game is way different than the previews led me to believe. It's actually pretty dope.
But
so I can see that.
No, but the thing is,
they do that on PlayStation Plus all the time, dude.
No. But the thing, and maybe I just misheard you here. You said they're going to announce the second game when the first game comes to Game Pass.
Yeah, when the first game comes to Game Pass, it'll kind of put it back into people's minds, right? And then while it's still on Game Pass, they'll announce the second one, and then a lot of people will be like, well, shit, they announced the second one. The first one's free on Game Pass. I mean, I might as well play it. And then
okay, I see what you're saying.
Into them buying the sequel, like just because even knowing it's just well known, garnered positive reviews, and is free, will kind of reel a lot of people back in. Only the most snobby of us gamers would be like, well, still, it's a year-old game, so I don't care.
Okay, I see what you're saying, because I was like, doesn't it need to do well on Game Pass first, and then a sequel gets announced? But I see what you're saying now. It's like, if you announce the sequel, and then announce it's coming to Game Pass, because people know a sequel's coming out, it'll do better on Game Pass, which will make the sequel, like, that much more of a sure thing.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
All right. It's got a good synchronicity built into it.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, if the game's one and done, that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with having one and done games. We don't have enough of those anymore.
Yeah. Like if you don't jump the shark, if you tell your story, let it be told.
That's it. Move on. All right. But yeah, Deathloop, thumbs up.
I just bought it.
Yeah, my man. Yeah, Carlos, you'll like it. You're gonna like it. Trust me on that.
$60, man.
We'll have to hear what you say on the next show, man.
Yeah,
on Thursday.
Oh yeah, I'll have my thoughts by then. Hopefully, I'll beat it by then.
By the way, Carlos, I just realized something. So, if somebody were to just flat out ask me, like, what kind of games does Carlos like, I may have a hard time answering, but I know what kind of games you like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, I know this motherfuckers, and I like that shit. I like Yakuza Like a Dragon. I'm like, Carlos, you're gonna love this shit. Play it.
Oh man, I still need to play that fucking game, man.
Actually, wait a minute. Hold on.
By the way,
you and I mean, there's some differences, but you and I don't have much different tastes in games, though. Like the big AAA shit, I like. You like too.
Oh yeah. With the JRPGs.
Yeah.
I think one way where you
Monster
differ
Hunter,
is I'm more. Well, fuck. Where's Monster Hunter World 2, man? Where the fuck is it?
Say, was that thing not popular?
Monster Hunter? What's that?
Monster
Hunter.
Monster. Where's Rico?
It was very popular, Brett.
It was their biggest selling game, actually.
No, I was being sarcastic.
Yeah, he was being sarcastic. But we're gonna
get it. It's practically GTA.
Yeah, basically.
Here's where we differ, Tony.
Yeah.
I know I appreciate Dude Bro games more than you do.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah.
Oh, and MOBAs.
Yeah, MOBAs. Yeah. But like basically the AAA games I like, you will probably like too.
Yeah, for the most, I don't think there's much differences whenever we compare. So yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but Yakuza is definitely up your alley. Not only say JRPG, but it's in Japan too. Bruh, that's a Carlos game. That's a Carlos game. It's just like Persona 5. It's like a virtual trip of Japan, Except more fights. Those games, they fuck me. I was like, yo, when I go to Jakoki, am I going to be fighting dudes every 5 minutes?
Well, I mean, or Shibuya Meltdown.
Yeah,
like a Shibuya Meltdown earlier. Can't wait, man. I can't wait to play Deathloop. I'll probably play tomorrow.
Yeah, the game's fun, man. Tanks, what's going on, brother? All right.
Yo, that's a name I've heard in a while.
Yeah, man. Again, just because we don't hear from somebody says for a while doesn't mean they go away, which is always appreciated, All right, moving on. Last two questions of the night. Oh, last two questions are from Drunken Demon. I hear this guy has a very, very good accent, it just smooth and silky,
He sounds like an asshole.
He sounds like he does sound like an asshole, but he's a silky asshole. I don't know. That sounds wrong. A silky asshole. Anyway, first question.
Ready, Tony?
Yeah. If you got slammed by a member of Digital Foundry and told to stop being a fanboy, would it make sense to stop being a fanboy? I'm gonna just say.
Very good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. I'm just gonna exactly say what happened here. So Damien, who was in here, he called out John Linneman for something John Linneman said 7 years ago. I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think John Linneman. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong here. John Linneman said like, "What the fuck is Microsoft doing right now? They're fucking up." This was done during the Don Matrick era, right? So, so Damien says, "You said this shit. You're being a hypocrite." Blah 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 blah. And John Linneman, he tells Damien, "Screw you." He says that flat out. And he's like, I'm a big fan of Xbox. I think what they're doing now is great. I don't think what they did back then was great. Which is true. Like, opinions can't change based on new shit. This is wrong with fanboys, man. They have to stick with that narrative no matter what. You know, think about me. I've dogged on fucking Xbox for an entire generation. Now I'm praising them because they're doing fucking well. That's all I asked for. You know. So yeah, it was just hilarious. When I saw John Lindemann going into Damien, man, I was laughing my ass off. Although I will say this about John Lindemann, dude, that shit that he does, going back and forth with like haters, I do not do that. I say my piece and leave it be. You know, so John Lindemann, and he's gotten into trouble a little bit too. So I'm like, dude, you need to chill. You're like upper echelon, you know.
I feel bad for him because he's in like he look for all intents and purposes he looks like a nice guy that's genuinely trying to get to like talk to people, but you know all the hate
he
that
says
people
he responds to
get
DMs too and shit. I'm like, dude, like you're going above board, you know. So I'll give him respect for that, trying to reach out, but it's like, you know, and I heard the dude kind of has like some mild depression issues. I'm like, yeah, you should not be dealing with these people, bro. Leave it the fuck alone, you know.
Yeah, well, once you get too deep in the shit, you know, without all that stuff, you just leave it alone. But I do sort of respect the fact that he actually does leave the door open.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I give him respect. Me, you know what I do when things get crazy on my end? I mute my own thread and move on. I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with none of this shit. You know?
Yeah.
Because that way like, I can't get in trouble. You know?
If you know, I mean, I think he also sort of coming from the side, like he's coming from the sort of side of things where he's not like the sort of game journalist side of things. Yeah. He's sort of trying to be sort of the people's sort of guy, which I totally understand. But I think that's
work, you know.
And it's an interesting thing because it works and it doesn't work because it's a double-edged sword, right? At the one end, if you leave the door open for people to sort of essentially comment and all that stuff, and you respond, it does bring you a little bit closer to your fan base, but at the same time, then you have situations like this where you'll have a person who's just essentially trying to stir up a hornet's nest just because.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, again, like when it comes to this sort of stuff, it's like people can sort of evolve and change their minds. Isn't that what we want to hear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, isn't that, you know, Damien, isn't that a good thing that he changed his mind on Xbox? Or do you want him to specifically constantly hate Xbox for what they've done?
That's what it seems like. Like he wants them to continue hating on him just so it could fit his narrative. Think about it. That's why he still comes at me. Like he's using old arguments. Like, dude, I've been praising Xbox for a year. What are you talking about? You know? I feel like
you know, like number one, you're like essentially saying to him, no, you shouldn't change your mind about this thing that I love. You should be really saying is, hey, John, you know, you know what you said a while ago that you know, it's great that you've changed your mind on these things because of the way the new aspects of the way Xbox is working these days. That's what you should be pushing. That's not digging up old BS, you know, old shit that he said about the previous regime or the previous
Don Matrick regime out of all of
the
them.
The Don Matrick regime, and don't even you know, and you know, I know you want to you know, you also want to push that narrative that Don Matrick was something, but no, what he did was he inherited something that was good and he fucked it up.
Yeah,
that's what happened with Don Matrick, and you know what? That dude ain't working in there anymore because he did fuck up.
Yep, he didn't last very long. That's why he got Uncle Phil back. You know,
that's why you got Uncle Phil there. He did his thing. Essentially, he's doing the thing. He wasn't in general when he got in there. He wasn't pushing people away and saying they should go out and buy a previous generation console if they don't want games with DRM. That's not how you play it, man. You got to be like, you know, again, they're doing about it though. This is and if you are a true Xbox fan, this is the way Xbox had been originally. They'll be like, hey, I'm your buddy, let's game together. That's the old Xbox. That's original Xbox. And if you don't remember that you're not a real fucking fan.
Oh.
What did go back in history, and Adam will remind you of this too.
Adam tell you stories.
What did Major Nelson do? He went out to the people. He literally would set up a thing in New York and said, "Hey, I'm going to be at so and so bar this day. You know, if you guys want to have a couple of drinks and talk about some Xbox, let's do that." That's the type of marketing those guys did. But the minute after 360 came and they went into the one generation, they became holier than thou. They became all about the TV and the DRM and all of that other junk. Number one, if you're going to be doing this sort of idea, obviously right now in time, DRM is the thing, right? Everything has DRM, right? And nobody's making a big shit about it. You want to know why? Because they didn't put a fucking pin in it.
Yeah.
They're not literally. They're like, number one, you got to flash people. If you're gonna be doing this stuff, show us the positives of why we need to do this. Don't even talk about why we need this stupid DRM and how some sort of goofy way of sharing and all this other silliness. Right?
Yeah. No, but my point is like with guys like that, you can't win because they're mad at you if you're critical of the thing they love. And then they're mad at you if you change your mind. So there's no win. This is why I don't bother arguing with them. There's no point. And they purposely want to fight and antagonize you. So don't give them that power.
And also, like you talk about like previous generation, the Digital Foundry back in the day was also considered the Xbox centric by a lot of PlayStation people back in the day. Remember that?
Because that flipped every single time because then the Xbox guys would get mad at them. And then it's like, so let me get this right. They get mad from both sides. That means they're doing something right, because they're being unbiased,
Damien, try this for a little bit. I know you're probably not going to get the same sort of reaction because you like those hot takes, right? I'd say if you're going to go down the line of digging up people's old tweets about things that they changed their mind out, maybe dig up those. If you're doing those dig up tweets, why don't you commend that person for actually changing their mind on the idea instead of trying to tweak them to get them angry at you and start up an argument. But you don't want that. You want to have that argument. You want to make 1,000 tweets at these people and get blocked. Play. We talk about playing the game. That's playing the game. Playing the game is getting on people. If you're gonna get with people, you want to talk to people the right way. No matter if they're a famous person or anybody else. That don't mean you need to be a dick about it.
Yeah. All right. I think we've given Damien enough airtime. So let's get on here with the last question of the evening, and this is also from Mr. Drunken Demon. Another mini controversy regarding Digital Foundry here, which I had no idea what the fuck was going on until I randomly saw it on my timeline like 10 minutes before we went live. So now I'm updated. On the subject of Digital Foundry, has the sexiness of the main character ever distracted you while playing the game? So one of the Digital Foundry guys, one of the other American dudes there, he said that the girl from Project Eve was like so sexy that it distracted him. He's like, oh, that's like older game design. Like you wouldn't see a female proportion like that in a video game anymore. And he just found that like distracting. So have you ever been distracted by a attractive looking character in a game?
No, not really.
Nope. Not busy playing.
I'm too busy playing. I mean, maybe it's different for some people if they're watching a trailer and because they're not actually playing a game. But I don't know. I never said to myself, "Oh my God, this character's so goddamn hot. I can't play this game. I can't. I'm looking at her butt too long." I don't know. It's a little odd. But maybe I don't know. Maybe he's into Asian girls. I don't know.
Or maybe not, because he was.
Maybe he's not into Asian girls.
The thing is, I don't disagree with what he said about that older game design. Even when I saw the first, I'm like, oh, you wouldn't see that in a modern game anymore.
Yeah, she is in general.
A modern Western game.
Yeah, in general, she is a throwback to older design, like in maybe in Asian games, and maybe Asian games still do. I mean, Japanese games still do sort of the sexy character,
cheesecake stuff. Yeah, they do
the
that
cheesecake
stuff.
Character, and then
But I do understand where he's coming from. Like for example, not to spoil too much, Manny was looking at one of the outfits Julia has in Deathloop, and he's like, "Oh, if this was a modern game, her zipper would be down." And I'm like, "Yeah, it would be." If it was an old game, excuse me, if it was an old game, because she has her zipper all the way up. She's
if you remember,
it's an alternate costume, so we're not spoiling anything here.
It's an alternate costume.
It's literally a costume that's a homage to what's her face, Eartha Kitt from Batman. You know.
Well, no, it's actually Emma Peel from the Avengers, which is from
you motherfuckers don't know about that Avengers.
Yeah, not the Marvel's Avengers, but there was a TV series called The Avengers with
they also made a movie with Uma Thurman.
With Uma Thurman, who's playing that role, Emma Peel, but she essentially looks like Black Widow before Black Widow looked like Black Widow.
Yes, yeah,
like the same sort of skin tight suit and all the stuff, and so she's sort of wearing that outfit. But yeah, if it was, I was saying like, when we saw the outfit, I'm like, you know what? If this was an older game, her zipper would have been down, and you would have seen the little, little chest in there.
So so that point about how sensibilities have changed, that's actually a factual thing. You don't.
Yeah,
see,
We even mentioned, I don't know if we mentioned this on the show at the time, but I was like, oh, okay, this is a lot. It does feel like a throwback, that the character.
Yeah. So he's right about that. His name's Alex, by the way, but I've never been distracted. Sometimes I'll be like, that looks nice,
Alex Battaglia?
Yeah. Battaglia's let us know in the chat, but Alex. But no, for example, like when I was playing Final Fantasy 15, where you go up to the mechanic girl, she looks fucking hot, but that's about it, By the way, very different reaction than the Polygon guy when he saw that. He's like, ew, like really, dude, that's kind of interesting. I was just like, oh, she's hot, nice, I wouldn't mind having my car fixed by her, But it's never been an issue, But I think Dumeka said that's really more of an Alex issue than the game's issue if that's bothering him,
Yeah, it's more of an Alex issue if he feels uncomfortable with that sort of thing. I mean, to be honest, part of this sort of stuff is a sort of these sort of fantasies. So. I mean, I can see why they will put this character. And then also the other thing is that we're talking about this game is actually made in Korea.
Yeah.
And Korea is a lot more open, and as well as Japan, a lot more open about the being a little bit more being more fantasy when it comes to their game characters. You look at Cloud, you look at Cloud, or you look at Tifa, you look at these sorts of characters, or a lot of those characters. You can see that they're looking for attractive looking characters.
Yeah.
You know who else is?
Who else?
The West, but with guys.
Oh, you mean with a fat Thor?
No, I'm saying all there's all these characters that huge ass fucking muscles and shit. Those aren't distracting.
Weren't girls swooning over the Hades dude and shit?
Yeah.
Dudes running around with no shirt on and stuff, all ripped and shit. And my thing is there's nothing wrong with that. Go ahead,
I feel like when it comes to objectification of fictional characters, it sort of goes both ways.
Yeah,
I mean, you have attractive looking males in these games, looking all fancy or whatever, whether it be a big burly dude with no shirt on, or a skinny looking dude with no shirt on, or a lady wearing a sort of revealing sort of outfit, or a thin looking outfit. It's all fantasy, and I feel like why are we trying to make the world of fantasy into our reality?
Yeah, that's a good point. Let it be a fantasy. There's nothing wrong with it being a fantasy,
It's okay with being It's okay with being a fantasy as long as you're not hurting anybody. And isn't that the mantra of our world right now? It's if you like something and you're not hurting anybody, why is this? Why can't you enjoy this?
Yeah. That's my life motto, basically. My thing is you don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with you. Simple as that. Do what you got to do, man. Just don't try to force it on other people. That's not good.
Yeah. I feel like again, it's like a sort of thing of a sort of different strokes for different folks. If people like that if you like that sort of thing, then that's fine. Do you need to tell somebody they're wrong because they like this thing? I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit totalitarian to me.
Yeah,
if you think about it.
Yeah, whatever happened to choice, man?
We're all about choice. We're all about choice. We're all about the things that we enjoy, and it doesn't need to be. It doesn't. You don't need to browbeat somebody for something they enjoy.
Yeah. All right, man. That was a good show. I think we're done for the night. Another one in the books. So, Manny, do you have anything to plug?
Nothing to plug. There's just King Diamond back there.
There you go. Yeah, that's gonna remain there forever now.
It just is kicked over there, and then there's my email right here. No, that's all just my stuff. No, I officially right now I don't have anything that I can talk about, but there are a lot of things within the makings right now. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. As for myself, my Deathloop review will be going up on PC Mag sometime this week, along with some other previews of big games that I've been personally looking forward to, and that you may be looking forward to in coming in this week and in the week after that. So stay tuned for that. Lots of articles. Carlos, do you have anything to plug?
Well, I am Negan. So we're gonna get the next week's episode ready before it comes out, or when it comes out. So you should be expecting, I think it's episode 5, if I'm not mistaken. Man, I should have remembered.
Don't ask me.
This Sunday's episode, we'll have the review ready this Sunday. So make sure to stay tuned for that. For those that don't know, me and Adam Vale, who hosts the podcast, and Richard Bailey Jr., who's the editor-in-chief of thecoalition.com, we do a podcast about The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead proper, Beyond, Fear the Walking Dead. I just do the proper one, but we're going through the Walking Dead proper right now, final season. So if you're watching it and you want to listen to people discuss it, make sure to stay tuned to I Am Negan. We have the podcast on thecoalition.com, coalition with a K, or the coalition on YouTube, or if you want to check us out on Spotify or where you get your podcasts, that's I Am Negan. And I'm thoroughly enjoying this season so far. So if you want to get our thoughts, make sure to check us out there.
Good stuff.
Awesome. All right, people, you already know, man. Follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter, and join the Discord where it is always popping. You can find Throwdown on any podcast app by searching for Throwdown, 2 words, Throwdown Show. And you can visit throwdownshow.com to listen to past episodes. If you have been watching us on YouTube, enjoyed the content, if you like what you've seen, heard, maybe smelled in some cases, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when our videos go up. And as always, you can find links to everything down in the description. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight, joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Carlos Romero.
The Nuke.
Brett Murdoch.
Peace out, everybody.
And Brian Manjoma.
Later, people. Have fun.
People, you already know, Thursday, back on schedule, people. Later.
Peace.
Deuces.
Take care, everyone.